What is going on, everybody? It is episode 502 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I am really excited to finally get into a normal week. Aren't you?
Yes, yeah. I am.
It was a big action-packed week last week, and we're ready to get back into the swing of things in a normal schedule, but also we're really happy that the channel seems to be facing a big algorithmic boom right now. So we just passed 81K. Yep. So looks like we'll be getting that silver play button in no time. I love how it's just such an arbitrary prize. It means absolutely nothing, but you know, it's something to motivate us.
Yeah, no, it is. That's literally like what I've had my eyes on for the whole time, for no other reason than it's just there. Yeah. And that's what you're supposed to care about. So, yes. It was a very, very busy week last week. I think I saw 2 gray hairs in my beard that were exclusively from that have since gone away.
Do you pluck them?
I got rid of them.
You do?
Yeah. No, it's never
just
happened.
Let it go.
That one time, right? So like, usually if it's like hhigh stress weeks, it's this. There was like the time we went to Austin, long time ago before this show was really a thing, like doing stuff during the week when they were visiting Alex Jones. Like any point of like high stress for the job will do that to me. Like I've had gray hairs that have come and gone. Right. Yeah. But for the most part, I have not.
How was your quick trip to North Korea?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Oh, dude.
Did you get the full tour experience?
I'm going to tell you right now.
State-sponsored tour experience.
For the people who don't know, when we left to come out here, me, Wesley, and Taylor, we all posted separate pictures at the airport of the 3 of us, all of us marking that we were going to different places. One said Florida. I think Wesley said... I think Taylor said Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Wesley
his
said
was
Florida.
Yours was North Korea.
I said North Korea, and I'll tell you what, I was a bit troubled by the amount of people who thought I was actually going to
when you
North
realized
Korea. That
PCC actually is just CCP backwards.
Yeah, I think somebody made that point during the show. So or during they made that point in that comment section. He said when PCC holds a mirror to itself, it's just CCP backwards. So guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. The movie Lady Ballers from the Daily Wire has been a huge success for the company. Jeremy Boring says that it was a monumental achievement for them as far as new subscriber growth and all of these things, but the media is not too fond of this movie. We got a bunch of stories in which we'll talk about related to that. Also, Billie Eilish is in the news because she apparently lost over 100,000 subscribers on Instagram after being outed as gay by Variety, or I'm sorry, not gay, as queer.
Because you can't be gay anymore. You have to be queer to be special.
I guess bisexual just doesn't have the same ring to it to them. So she came out as queer and lost over 100,000 subscribers, and then she fired back and she was mad at Variety for outing this. If I had to guess, I think this was all planned, but that's just my conspiratorial brain. Also, we're gonna have a discussion because Mary found this clip of Taylor Swift in which it looks like a satanic ritual is being performed on stage.
It wouldn't be the first time that she's been accused of satanic rituals. But.
Yeah, and then after that, she found many such more stories.
We just have a whole smorgasbord of mounting evidence that there is a satanic cult running Hollywood.
Yeah.
Nothing new here, but just thought I'd talk about it with you guys.
In the chat right here, somebody says, my energy is mid. Yes. Beyonce is literally a living legend, and then blah 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 says what's your energy? Says Brett, your energy level seems mid today.
It's because he's giving up soda for December. That's probably the reason behind that.
Yes, I have decided to give up soda for the month of December. I do have an energy drink, but it's 0 sugar. But
well, the way that I get myself hyped up in the morning on my commute is I just blast Screamo and drink iced coffee and have a Zyn.
There you go.
It gets me ready for the day.
Gets you ready for the day.
I like having a commute for that reason.
I mean, that is a good thing, right? I mean, it's one of one thing I've noticed is on the days where I have to get up even earlier than normal to do the show always goes better. Rather than waking up at my normal time and then going into the day, it seems like the earlier I have to get up, I start using my brain earlier. and then for some reason the talking that comes out on the show seems to be slightly more coherent than it normally is. So I do appreciate you guys who all put up with me in my lack of coherency sometimes. So we're going to talk about Satanism in Hollywood. We are also going to discuss what the hell happened to Kim Kardashian's ass.
It's mysteriously disappeared. I'm going to get an Amber Alert on my phone asking me to spot Kim Kardashian's ass because it's gone. It's vanished.
I did see the photo. It does
We've
look
been
like
hoodwinked.
it's been stolen somewhere.
She just like dropped it somewhere in public and couldn't find it. Got stolen.
Yeah.
Someone stole the ass. It's gone.
There's a great comedy sketch to be made with that concept there. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. So Mary. Also guys, before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and would you subscribe to this channel? If you have not subscribed already, like Mary said, we have passed 81,000 subscribers. What was that face for? She's making a face.
I just started thinking about Amber Alerts, and then I started thinking about how they invented the new like Amber Alerts for black people. Ebony Alerts. Yeah. And I was like, why would they use this like weird 90s like porn term for an Amber Alert for a missing person? Special. It's weird. Am I wrong?
It's a little weird.
Just thought I'd throw that thought out there.
So guys, like this video, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. We are firmly on our way to 100,000 subscribers. Very excited about that. Remember, all Super Chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read those right then and there, and then we will do our best to get on topic. So why don't we just go ahead and get started then? Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go ahead and get started then. I've got some sad news to start out the show today. The Marvels is finishing its box office run as the lowest performing Marvel movie in MCU history.
How is that sad news? This is actually something to rejoice about.
My sarcasm is not showing as well with the lack of energy right now.
Yeah.
So, the lowest box office in MCU history. Disney
80 million domestic, 197 globally.
Yes, and Disney has essentially said that they're giving up on it. So this is from Variety. It says, after 4 weeks on the big screen, the comic book tentpole is running out of steam with $80 million in North America and just $197 million globally. That means it's probably going to finish its run barely breaking $200 million on a budget of $220 million. There would typically be optimism that attendance could rebound over the busy holiday season, but Disney apparently doesn't expect that to be the case. The studio wrote on Sunday in a note to the press, quote, with the Marvel's box office now winding down, we will stop weekend reporting of the international global gross. So they're like, we're done.
If this were a child of Disney, he's disowning it,
yes.
basically.
It's the redheaded stepchild.
This is the wayward son of Disney.
It is. It's the redheaded stepchild of Disney now. It says the film isn't leaving theaters just yet, but here's the thing. We're going to be having Aquaman coming to the box office soon too. And one of the things that's funny about that is they were thinking about it, and they've had some decent, like other than 2020 when the theaters were closed, 2021 you had Spider-Man No Way Home over the holidays, huge box office draw. 2022, you had Avatar, The Way of Water, huge box office draw. This year they've got Aquaman. And that's
for DC,
and that's really it. So the Marvels fell to 11th in the box office this week. 11th.
Wait, why are you mentioning Avatar: Way of Water?
Because they said normally around this time of year with the box office winding down, the holidays are a time of year when movies would have more to go on because it's the holidays, more people are going to go.
We got a $20 from Not That Jon Stewart. Hi Brett, hi Mary, happy Monday. Let's go. Truly, Let's Go is picking up.
Yes. I'm looking to get Jessica. If Jessica's watching here, I know she's in the Slack. I'm looking to get Let's Go mugs made. Because what better rallying cry for your day at work is a question mark at the end of Let's Go. Like, I guess there's Let's Go, but then there's also Let's Go.
It's the perfect amount of uncertainty and enthusiasm.
Exactly. So the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania opened with worse box office reviews than this, or with worse reviews, but from still critics. Made over $400 million all in.
That is a puzzle to me in and of itself, having watched it. don't understand.
Yeah, it says the Marvels opened November 10th with just $46 million domestically to land as the worst debut. And it was bad from day one. It fell to number 3 in its second week, if you remember. It fell behind Hunger Games, as well as, Napoleon beat it at the box office.
Yeah.
So it had nothing going for it. And it shows you that people are sick of the AstroTurf. The other thing that's interesting about this, and the other reason I mentioned Aquaman before, is that one's tracking at under 50 million for its opening. It's like 32 to 40 million or something like that. That might have changed by now. But both of these movies were billion-dollar movies when their originals came out. Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. Aquaman made over $1 billion. I don't know if Aquaman will end up doing better overseas than we're anticipating, but the Marvels certainly didn't. I don't know if it could be that the Marvels didn't appeal to any of the foreign box office. Jason Momoa might still have strong appeal overseas, though it's not going to make $1 billion by any sense of the imagination. I think it's actually probably going to be worse than Captain Marvel, because when it comes to DC, they're throwing all of this stuff away anyways to start over with James Gunn.
Yeah.
So none of this really matters. And then we all remember on Friday we discussed Bob Iger essentially throwing everyone else but himself under the bus for the failure of the movie. And the filmmaker, the guy who made Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Peter Ramsey, has now essentially said that he finds what Bob Iger said to be an astounding level of BS. I was wondering why he would say that, given that he worked for Marvel. But since it was a Spider-Verse movie, that means it was a Sony film.
So he's good. He doesn't really sound like he wants to be part of what Disney is doing with the MCU. He said that Iger just has to sound like he's got an answer.
That's true, though.
Everything he said in that interview with at the Deal Book Summit, it just sounded like something that he scripted with a team beforehand, and he had to be told what all the questions would be beforehand. And he was just floundering. Like, everything he said was passing the buck off for all their mistakes off to Bob Chapek, or off to COVID, or off to the strikes.
Or
you can only blame other people and other circumstances for so long when you just have to take responsibility. Yeah, he says when one fan pointed out Thor: Love and Thunder could have done with a little bit more supervision on set, Ramsey argued, how do you know that it wasn't supervision that caused what you don't like about it? He says later he shares opinion, nothing happens on those movies without a lot of scrutiny from Feige and Marvel. He's right. One thing that was funny about this is, like, every day you get the dailies back. It's not like they don't have instantaneous access to exactly what the hell is going on these projects. So when they make those claims, it's really baseless. Right. They're really just throwing the buck around and banking on the idea that you or I don't understand anything at all about how film production works. But that's not the case. And it's not just Captain Marvel. It's not just the Marvels or Marvel Cinema or Marvel Cinematic Universe that's failing right now. Disney as a whole is not doing very, very well. Oh, we've got a $20 one here from ESO something. Hello, PCC. You make my Mondays lit. Reminder that Bob Iger is out of touch on another level. Advanced boomerism. He needs an official diagnosis.
Yes, we're gonna have to have. Do we have any doctors in the PCC chat that can diagnose him?
Can we treat his boomerism?
But it's not just that. Wish is also failing. So this is per Deadline. The Wish box office has not picked up after its disappointing opening in the second weekend of its domestic run. The movie is projected to take in an additional $7 million. That marks a 64% drop, making it even worse than Strange World, which had a 58% drop. And what I find very interesting is the level of which Disney has become a cultural issue beyond just movies. Like, we're discussing the box office, we're discussing the movies, but Tim regularly on his show, or other people who work in the culture war or are just political pundits, all seem to have something to say about what's going on with Disney, because Disney carries such tremendous influence with the culture. Like, I was looking at a bunch of videos over the weekend when I was trying to find some stuff for the intro of the show, and I was shocked by how many videos I was getting that seemed to be like astroturfed of people at Disney World. right? Like
influencers that are paid to promote Disney World.
No, it could not be AstroTurf because, like, look, just because my algorithm looks the way it does because of what I do for work, that could speak to why it is that way, right? But they're fighting a losing battle where they put all of this money into promotion. They put all this money into all of these things that don't matter when it feels like they make it harder for themselves by not just focusing on making good movies, which is the best advertisement you can make for a company, right?
What I saw after Wish came out, and what was actually kind of encouraging, is that people who have no ideological opposition to Disney are still fed up with their shit and how they're so arrested with cognitive dissonance. They hated Wish because it was a bad movie, not because of all of the ideological propaganda that was in it as well.
We were getting people who were responding to us on our review saying, like, most people liked it. I said, the scores don't bear that out.
It's not true. Also, kill two birds with one stone. If you make a good movie, then the people who are ideologically opposed to Disney are going to be pleasantly surprised. Yeah. And the people who really have this desire to like what Disney is putting out but can't seem to force it are also going to support it. So kill two birds with one stone. Kill the wokeness and also kill this poor quality and thoughtlessness that goes into these productions at the same time.
Yep. We got a $20 super chat here from Gordon Shumway. Says, Hunt for Red October said it best. Old Soviet primer gave new one 2 letters and said to open each when things went bad. First letter said to blame everything on the old regime. Second letter said to write 2 letters. Yeah, well, and the thing is, what bothers me about that is, like, a CEO is supposed to, like, you make all that money to be you should, I understand that's not how it works in reality. I feel like a CEO, somebody who makes that much money, if they're good at their job, should look to take responsibility for what's going wrong with their company. And I think a little bit of ownership on Bob Iger's part would have gone a long way to helping with this.
Yeah, they really got his ass because, like, kudos to that interviewer. Obviously,
who did their job,
did his job well.
Did not shoot softballs.
He didn't, and when he read that letter that Walt Disney wrote in 1966, quite literally saying it would be a massive mistake to make a sequel to Snow White and to just rely on making sequels that people think they want.
Yeah.
Bob Iger had nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
He had no defense for the reasons that Disney is operating this way, just running on the fumes of IPs that used to carry so much cultural significance and goodwill. He has no defense for the way that they're doing business.
And I want to point out that this isn't just us making these claims. It is no longer possible for the mainstream to ignore these problems either. This article we're looking at here is from Screen Rant. This is as mainstream as it gets. It says there are quite a few possible reasons for the movie's disappointing box office returns. For instance, when Wish debuted on Rotten Tomatoes, it earned a rotten score that was the worst for a Disney animated movie in 18 years. I don't believe that anybody in the world actually looks at Rotten Tomatoes to decide whether to watch a movie or not.
Not really.
No. At least I personally don't think so. It's become fodder for culture war topics and bots.
Looking at Rotten Tomatoes scores is not reliable to find out the public sentiment around a movie, not just because they've been known to fake reviews, have purchased reviews and bots, but also because the people who are more likely to review these movies are either Disney shills or they're going to hate anything that Disney puts out anyway. So you're not actually getting an accurate view of what people think of it.
Well, yeah, what I've been pointing out is, like, if you look at Disney this year, all of their audience scores were higher than the critic scores because they've cored out their audience so far that the only people that are going and then reviewing these movies for them are Disney fanatics who really, really love it no matter what they make.
People who will tweet justice for Wish.
Yes. This other reason makes more sense to me. So it says, it also comes at the tail end of a year that has seen general audience disinterest allow several major Disney releases to flop, including Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and Haunted Mansion, on top of many others, including, if we're talking about it, if we're talking Disney that is not just that, we're also talking Marvel. Creator bombed. That was technically Disney, even though I love that movie. It didn't do well. Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't do well. All of these movies aren't doing well. It's the only one they really had that succeeded was what? Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy made money. And what was the other? Was there any other ones that made any money this year?
a shill would tell you that Elemental made it into the black.
So that's actually one that's interesting, right? Where there's an interesting argument to be made there, because people who watched Elemental, it didn't have the same cultural backlash, so it was able to get good word of mouth and then keep on. But there was no,
even though, if we're being honest, Elemental was a racism allegory.
But it didn't get the attention that probably because it came out at least somewhat close to The Little Mermaid, right? I would imagine.
Yeah.
So The Little Mermaid got all of the attention at that time, and Elemental was able to slip under the radar and be made. But we're not just seeing these problems here now. So the other issue here is that there is the fact that Elon Musk has caused for another Disney boycott to come after his famous comments about Bob Iger, which we all saw at the conference as well.
He said, "Go F yourself, tell that to Bob." So we have a war of the boycotts. Disney is going to be boycotting X, and then all of these X users are going to be boycotting Disney Plus. I've seen cancel Disney Plus trending multiple times over the past month.
Some people were saying it was 23 million. It was not 23 million subscribers.
But I mean, this streaming platform was supposed to be part of replacing cable, and now each one of them costs like $20 a month. Yep. It's just not feasible. It's so out of touch that they would think that's a feasible way to do it.
It says these are some of the companies that also boycotted. It was IBM, Apple, Paramount, NBC Universal, Comcast, Warner Brothers, Discovery. It says so they were talking here about a bunch of the right-wing political influencers and accounts. I like how most of them are not even people. It's End Wokeness. Libs of TikTok.
Libs of TikTok is an actual person.
But
Zero Hedge and Elon Musk parody accounts.
I love the Elon Musk parody account.
Who knows who that is?
So it says it'd be great if it was actually Elon Musk running the Elon Musk parody account.
That would be
so
funny.
He could say all the stuff that he wants to say, but he can't actually say normally.
But it's funny because all of these accounts on X have more cultural sway than these big studios do.
So it says, stop giving money to people that hate you. Cancel Disney Plus and pass it on, says End Wokeness on Thursday. Numerous commenters said that they dropped Disney Plus in some cases, posting their email cancellation confirmations. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm never going to cancel Hulu. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I love Hulu too much. It's funny. I figured out why recently. More than anything, they don't get rid of anything. All the shows that I loved on Hulu like 5 years ago are all still on there for me to watch now if I want to watch
I'll
them.
just say, it's time to get our peg legs out. It's time to get our eye patches and our golden doubloons and get scurvy.
Arr.
That is the real solution to this crisis.
It says,
I'll just say that.
Cancel Hulu, cancel Disney Plus are now both breakout trends on Google. Trends as viewers apparently respond to their efforts to censor and cancel Elon Musk. Look, I don't also like this argument that they're making that these companies are subjugating free speech by pulling their advertising. It's the free market. They're allowed to do this if they want to, and I don't buy that as a free speech issue. It's not related to the government anyways.
I would say it's only a free speech issue insofar as X is the only social media platform left in the mainstream besides the stragglers like Gab and Parler and Truth Social, etc. The list goes on, that actually has some modicum of free speech for its users. That is the reason why all of these journalists, media companies, Hollywood studios hate it so much.
Yep.
That is a huge reason why they are boycotting. So that's why I would see it as a free speech issue.
End Wokeness says instead of making good content, Disney is focusing on making sure that at least 50% of all characters are LGBTQIA or non-white. Cancel Disney Plus, and then they posted the reimagined tomorrow.
I'm here.
They're never going to live that down, are they?
Queer children, actually, and one pansexual child. And also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I have heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us.
I hate that type of self-congratulatory virtuousness that they always try to put upon themselves. I just felt such a calling to speak for these people. Mm-hmm. That's white savior complex.
Somehow the fact that this was pulled from a Zoom meeting makes it even worse.
I know.
They can't even make the effort to leave their houses and go to a conference room to talk all of this bullshit.
Well, that was during COVID, so
Yeah.
I don't think they
This
could
was like
at that time.
in 2020, right, that Chris Rufo put this video out, and they have never offered a real explanation for themselves, never offered a defense of the things that these people were saying.
The other thing,
They're never going to live it down.
The other thing that I find interesting about it is, like, even if Disney was to change, it won't matter because Hollywood as a whole has changed. It's not feasible to believe that they're the only company that has these types of quotas. They all have these types of quotas. They've all embraced DEI policies for their companies as per their shareholders and investors because of stakeholder capitalism, because of investment from larger firms. But also, think if they want to win awards, right? You've got to reach this many people of this group to win an award. You've got to have employed this many people. Not just award season, California rules as far as employment hiring for actors. It's an issue that has encompassed all sides of Hollywood, not just the Disney brand. So the idea that they're going to change, and I do think it's silly for people to believe that these people are going to make any changes to these companies. One of the things I wanted to talk about last week, and we left it off the topic, was the Tom Holland quote about he only wants to make a Spider-Man 4 if it does justice to the character. And Aman Vellani saying, we just need to make people care about the characters again. One thing that these actors and these CEOs all have in common is they talk extensively in platitudes. They say things that sound great when they need to say the right thing, right? Every once in a while, they can get it right in a soundbite. That doesn't mean that that's going to translate in any way, shape, or form to how the actual content gets made. It's very easy to say we need to make people care about these characters because all of a sudden everyone's canceling Disney Plus and nobody gives a crap about anything that we're making. She's not going to be the one in charge of making you care about the characters anyways.
Well,
the writers are.
Iman Vellani just seems blissfully unaware that nobody cared about the character of Miss Marvel in the first place. And if they did use MCU movies to feature the characters people actually care about, then they wouldn't be in this mess.
I did see something that said that Kevin Feige put to bed the idea that Tony Stark would ever come back recently. I saw that in an article from Cosmic Book News. He's like, no, like we had our moment with that. Like there's no reason to go back on that. It would cheapen all of the work that it took to get there. That's the right idea. Sadly, you need that character to sell tickets, but it's also the right idea that you don't want to bring him back because you'll cheapen the moment, but you need these actors who actually have some type of pedigree to do that. You could bring back Captain America. I know that Chris Evans has said that he would be open to the idea if it was the right story or the right circumstances, right? And that would be great. But right now we're going with like what Robbie Starbuck had, Operation Bend the Knee, to get Disney to change their ways by everybody canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions. And I just don't see anything changing anytime soon, given that everything Disney is doing right now, like even if they were to start making changes now, you're not going to see meaningful change for 2-3 years by the time productions are finished on some of these projects and they actually get released. They've got new board members because they're trying to keep out Nelson Peltz from the boardroom there because they just hired one board member from Sky and one board member from JP Morgan or whatever it is, or Morgan Stanley. I'm sorry, Morgan Stanley. So Morgan Stanley is one of those people that gets first dibs whenever they do one of these conference calls with investors. So they put members on the board who are already sympathetic to Disney interests because they're trying to keep out the people that want to actually make changes for this company, meaning Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter. So they hired a guy from, I apologize, I don't remember their names. But the guy from Morgan Stanley and then a guy from Sky, which was the channel that Disney Channel was done through. Mm-hmm. So they've picked people that are already sympathetic to their interests so they don't have to make any changes. They're going to issue a bunch of platitudes now, just like the actors are. They're going to rah, say all the things they think people want to hear. And then in 2 years, we're going to realize that the movies aren't any different, that the sequels are just as annoying, that none of it gets any better. I don't see anything changing anytime soon. And that's not even to get into like Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy and all of the vitriol and hatred that goes on behind the scenes there because of all the disdain that so many people have for her.
Yeah,
right?
I do wish that in that interview they asked Bob Iger what he thought of the Panderverse episode.
What did he say?
They didn't ask him about it, but I think they should have.
Here's a $20 super chat from, I can't read the whole name there.
Organized Business Services. He said, hey, Mary and Brett. I heard comment, Alex Stein, body count. It's my last super chat. I did my job for Peter. It's not you guys, but I can't have the talk live for NJ Mike subs. Go to website to learn more. I left you a post. Bye. I don't know what any of that means.
I think what he might be saying is that he has it on live at the show at his work. And then that talk got a little bit spicy for...
Oh, yeah. A lot of you guys were saying that Friday's episode got wild.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was that wild.
I didn't either, but I do apologize if anybody was offended at your work. I'm not trying to give your work... make your work life difficult if that was what happened.
I mean, you should probably be using headphones if you're listening to the show at work.
The Orca boss in the chat says, so they are only reading $20 super chats? No, my friend, we read $20 super chats instantly when they come in, but we will read all of them in between segments.
Yes.
So yes, they will all get read. So yeah, I want to see Disney do better, but I don't have any faith that that's going to happen right now. Other than it looks like probably that movie Migration, which I believe is a Universal movie, is probably going to do better than any of the stuff that they're doing.
It's a movie about ducks that are migrating. It's a stupid name for that movie.
I thought you said it should have been called Birds.
No, I said it should just call it Ducks.
Ducks.
Just call it Duck Family.
Yeah.
Duck Family Adventure. Why do you need to call it Migration? It's such a politicized word. Why?
Yeah.
It's just a stupid title for the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that, maybe that'll do better than Wish.
I will offer one more. Oh, somebody says Brit's body count is 30. He said so. No, I said 30 super chats. There had to be 30 crisis parties to reach that, to get that number for me, which you guys did not get that day. So don't blame me. I will offer one more anecdote in relation to Disney and as to why I think they're failing. So over the weekend, while I started my detox from sugar, I watched National Treasure 1 and 2. Amazing, fun, enjoyable rides that are just so much fun. I cannot emphasize enough how much I miss this type of movie making, meaning that what you're watching is essentially goofy, over the top, kind of Laura Croft with a guy and a girl, kind of Indiana Jones. But that's not what matters about it. What I said in my tweet was essentially, when you watch this movie, the first one came out in 2004, the second one came out in 2007, right? They are, at their core, a beautifully done love letter to American history wrapped around an adventure tale that anyone of any age, race, sexual orientation, doesn't matter how old you are, anyone can enjoy those movies, and Disney made those, right? 2007 was, it's not that long ago, right? 15 years is a long time, but not that long to have completely failed to learn or failed to remember exactly what you used to do that works so well, right? They made that TV show that no one watched about it. And we all know that if they were to make a National Treasure 3, which supposedly is getting done right now. Oh
no. The party's not going off.
My bad.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Well, it's a calm day anyways. It's a calm day anyways. If they were to make that movie now, there's going to have to be a bunch of vitriol as to how this country was founded. It's going to focus on all of the elements of this country that they love to, which is what? Slavery and Native American genocide and all of these things that they think America is about now, rather than focusing on the beautiful elements of what made the country what it was. And I watch these movies and there's a sense of wonder. There's a sense of love. There's a sense of camaraderie between the characters, which I don't feel anymore. I felt that Diane Kruger in this movie had more chemistry with Nicolas Cage than I have seen any actor or actress have in years. right? It's just fantastic. This is something Disney did right, and it wasn't that long ago. It would not be that hard to remake a movie like that and do a similar story, leave the politics out of it. You can talk about history without making it overtly political. I invite everyone to watch that movie, and unless you're hyper analyzing it, you know, you're not going to see a great deal of strong political takes other than somebody who has deep respect for his ancestors and wants to clear the name of his ancestors, specifically in the second movie, because of what happens with his great-great-grandfather or whatever. And Disney could do that, but they're not going to do that because the world has changed. The internet has changed everything. We will never see, in my opinion, we will never see movies like that again, especially ones that are so unbelievably pro-America. And the reason why something like Cancel Disney Plus is trending right now isn't just all of this. It's not just Bob Iger pulling ads from X. It's an amalgamation of different things that are all coming together.
It's been building up for decades. It's been building up.
And a movie that's less than 20 years old that has that much love for the USA, the fact that the idea of that even being made today is completely ridiculous shows you why they will never find their way back to where they need to be. Mm-hmm. So, all right. And in more entertaining news, what the hell is going on with George Santos?
I'm not interested in whatever Disney has in their plans for the next few years, but I am interested in this new movie in the works at HBO about George Santos. They have acquired the rights to this book about George Santos's life and origin story called The Fabulist, the lying, hustling, grifting, stealing, and very American legend of George Santos. And guys, if you didn't know, on Friday, he was expelled from Congress. He is facing 23 federal charges, mainly because of fraudulent use of donor money that was going into an LLC. He used the money to buy OnlyFans subscriptions, Botox, and designer clothes, allegedly. He denies all the charges, of course.
Technically, this is coming from donors, not taxpayers.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, no harm, no foul, right? They gave their money.
The campaign regulations
freely.
might not say that, but I say no harm, no foul.
Yeah, so he's a living legend.
People
obviously.
are saying who? Do you want to explain to people who George Santos is?
Sure, he's a Republican ex-congressman from Long Island, and he just got expelled from Congress for a string of fraudulent behavior. I can't even get into all of the details of that, but he's been in the media for a while because I think a lot of Democrats love him. They love his personality and his mimetic energy and can't admit it to themselves. Him and Lauren Boebert starring in like a gay best friend, like rom-com hangover style movie would be incredible. But right now we have an official announcement that they are making a George Santos biopic. And it's absolutely hilarious. I hope that they go for the funny, not for the super serious, like brooding true crime vibe.
This is coming from the same people that made Veep and Succession.
Yes. So I have high hopes for this. I really do. And I hope the fact that George Santos is a Republican isn't going to make it into a wet blanket of a movie. I think that it has great potential to be
the casting
absolutely
is going to be the
hilarious
part about this. I don't know who the hell they're going to cast.
Yes.
Who the hell in the chat? Who would you cast as George Santos? There's a picture of him right there.
So this is going to tell the story of a seemingly minor local race that wound up a battle for the soul of Long Island and unexpectedly carved the path for the world's most famous and now disgraced congressman. It follows the Gatsby-esque journey of a man from nowhere who exploited the system, waged war on the truth, and swindled one of the wealthiest districts in the country to achieve his American dream. I'm seeing a male Elizabeth Holmes story.
Somebody, hold on. Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Or a male Anna Sorokin movie, Anna Delvey, if you will. So I'm really interested to see where this goes in the near future. Also, he recently tweeted, "The truth will set me free," heart emoji. I believe it, George Santos, and I believe in you. He has real star power, and that's why they're making a movie about him, I think.
But here's the thing. They could do more than that. They could also make this a tale of romance.
They could.
We could make this a tale of romance and talk about his forbidden love affairs with his various partners.
Yes, it says George Santos' ex-boyfriends say that they were left feeling trapped and manipulated. This is interviews that were in his biography.
We should race swap him for this one. See, they love race swapping. You know what? I think we race swap him this one. You know who I think we get? We get who is it from Keenan and Kel? What's his name? The bigger one who's on Saturday Night Live.
Keenan Smith?
Keenan Smith?
Yeah.
I'm down for Keenan Smith for this. We'll race swap him. We'll do Keenan Smith.
I don't think they're going to do that.
No?
But if they're coming out with the Trump movie and the George Santos movie close together, that's thrilling. That's a thrilling lineup.
Says he promised me the world. Leandro, I don't know how to pronounce this last name. B-I-S?
Bis? He says he was 19 years old when he met George Santos at a bar in Manhattan in 2013 when he was in town from Brazil. He told ABC News that he knew the now embattled congressman as Anthony Zabrowski.
Keenan Thompson.
He went by Anthony Zabrowski, one of a handful of aliases that George Santos has reportedly used over the years.
I bet his Tinder profile is crazy.
And this is just scratching the surface, by the way, of all the different lives this man has lived. So...
He said over the next few weeks, he began a romantic relationship with Santos, who was 25 at the time. He recalled Santos telling him tales of dating supermodels and how they still begged him to become a model himself. Of course!
They also said this is going to talk about his body image issues and how he has insecurities with his appearance and his body, how he did all these procedures like Botox to try to improve his image.
Ozempic, you think?
Ozempic included, yes. I assume he was using donor money to pay for his Ozempic to sculpt his bod.
Says that the relationship quickly turned toxic and filled with what he claimed was manipulative things that Santos told him to keep him from leaving. So he was gaslighter in chief, George Santos. He promised me the world. He said that they would have married him to secure U.S. citizenship. So Beast said Santos, who Beast said at one point promised to marry him in order to help him secure U.S. citizenship. So he was already looking to skirt the laws.
Okay.
Back then, right?
And by the way, The Fabulist is just the best title.
It is. It's a fantastic title.
I hope they keep it for the movie.
Go more Veep. Go less Don't Look Up.
Go less Succession too.
Yeah.
Succession is very dark and brooding.
It shouldn't be any of those things.
I do want to know who's playing Lauren Boebert.
Okay, this was my other idea that I mentioned to you before the show. What they do is they make it a gay best friend comedy where him and Lauren Boebert go on adventures together. But then he's not actually gay.
He's not gay. She's the beard, but she's actually the reverse beard to convince everyone that he's gay.
And he really wants to he saw the video of her in the movie theater, and now he just wants to touch him. And he's got to find a way. And the whole movie is him working up various shenanigans to try and get a way to touch Lauren Boebert there.
And we were talking about this before the show. There is no equivalent to a George Santos in the Democrat Party.
There isn't. Nothing.
There's at least no politician that has actually won an election for Democrats that has this level of mimetic energy. People just can't help but pay attention. They can't help but look.
Like, I mean, it's also because like the left, for the most part, takes themselves so seriously that they can't allow that type of mimetic behavior to actually exist because they'll be shouted down from the high heavens by everyone on their own side.
Same reason why a Trump movie is coming out as well with Sebastian Stan.
Yeah. See, what I'm thinking is they end up making like a right wing mimetic politician cinematic universe. So we've got the Lauren Boebert movie, like One Night at the Theater, or Night at the Museum, but it's Night at the Theater with Lauren Boebert. There's like a Marjorie Taylor. Oh, Marianne Williamson. How about Marianne Williamson?
Oh, that's actually a good point.
We make like a WandaVision type movie with Marianne Williamson, and then we make some type of crazy aunt movie with
John Fetterman would make a good.
Yes. Okay. So we've got a whole political class that could have hilarious, but the difference is they got to be equally mean to all of them.
I want a Capitol Hill cinematic universe.
I would watch it.
And what I really want is the the entrance sequence to the George Santos movie has to be him combing his hair and primping himself in the mirror in the morning with Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero playing in the background.
It's perfect. It's perfect. He's at the concert and he gets booed out of the arena for
George
being there.
Santos is the anti-hero, and I am rooting for him.
So and then all of these, here's the great thing though, then all of these culminate, because then there's the Donald Trump movie that's coming out, right? And all of these it all bids like, so remember the Marvel timeline? It's got the movies, every date they come out,
phase
right?
one.
Right? No, and then at the very end of phase one, there's a movie just called J6. and that's the final movie in the first timeline, right? In the first thing of Marvel movies.
I'm seeing some comments here. Diva down the rise and fall of George Santos. Another says, this is a potential mother. Someone said Josh Gad could play George Santos.
There you go.
Might have to lose a little bit of weight. Also, Robbie from New Girl would bag the role easily, another says. Someone else said Sarah Paulson should play George Santos.
Perfect. A woman can play this role. You're allowed to.
There will be a lot of people waiting like me.
Yep.
No one asked for this. No one cares. Now, I'm asking for it now. Another person said Evan Peters could play him.
So that means that somewhere in this timeline, Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump is going to interact with George Santos.
Oh, I love it.
It's going to be great.
Jack Black, maybe?
He's a little old.
Yeah,
He's
but
too
younger
old.
Jack Black could have done it. That would have been a good race
I'll have to spend some time thinking about who could play that role. Most of the actors that I can think of just aren't big enough.
The chairman of HBO giving the green light to the Santos movie. I'm going to give the gays everything they want. See, even the left-wing gays on Twitter are obsessed with George Santos because this is real representation, folks.
Jacob Edler says Patton Oswalt as George Santos. I don't know how tall George Santos is, so it's we'll have
Lisa
to see.
Rinna.
It's going to be great.
Oh, another person is being a party pooper. We shouldn't be glamorizing corruption and a lack of faith in democracy. You're anti-fun.
There's that word again.
No, I won't be hearing a word of it. This is a great idea, and I'm in full support.
So, yeah, I mean, if the world is going to be absurd and our politicians are going to be absurd, we might as well make absurd movies talking about that.
And obviously, he's going to capitalize on this.
Yes, it's going to be great. He's going to go on the interview circuit.
Yes.
All right. I've got another interesting one to ask you guys about. How would you feel about playing Grand Theft Auto on Netflix?
You were like dying laughing at this idea the other night.
Okay, so I was like, I'll let you know first. I figured out how you do it. You play it on your phone. So it's
on your phone.
So it's to be played on Netflix on the app. So it says three GTA games will be available to play on Netflix on December 14th. Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. But what I was laughing about, I was literally delirious in a car where I pictured myself. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to go play. I haven't seen GTA 3 in years. And I go sit down in front of my TV and I just look at my hands and there's no controller. And then I was like, what is there?
Where does the controller go?
No, first, what controller do I use? Is there a Netflix controller? Do I get a generic controller? Do I get an Xbox controller? So I just pictured myself grabbing an Xbox controller, and I pictured it on like an Xbox 360 controller, and I just go and tape it to
tape it to the TV,
and then I'm like,
just hope it for the best.
And then what I'll do after that is I'll tape my Roku remote on top of the controller.
This is interesting that they're trying to make this pivot because there are so few reasons to keep your Netflix subscription at this point.
Yep.
I wonder if they're going to get GTA 6 on Netflix as well,
So
but
it
unlikely.
says Netflix Games has mobile games for Android and iOS that you can play for free without any advertising or in-app purchases to get in the way of the experience, so long as you have a Netflix account with an active subscription. Yes, even the standard one with ads signed into the device you're using. It says to access Netflix games, download the app on your Android or iOS device, as the gaming service is not available through web browsers or TV apps. Well, of course,
dumb.
what remote would? Well, no, it's literally a control issue. What remote? What would you use to control it?
Which is why it's an insane idea that you would put video games on Netflix in the first place.
So it says
because
that
it's not the interface that people use Netflix for.
it's gonna be really funny to watch how people do that. Now, would you be able to like cast your phone to your TV? It doesn't usually let you do that. Like, it doesn't usually let you cast your Netflix to your TV to watch it. But it would be really, really funny to watch somebody try and figure this out. Somebody should make a bit where they're like, what controller do I use? I have no idea how to do this. I'm just waiting to get ready so I can play as the single mom in GTA 6.
Yeah.
They're waiting for it. So
another weird video game news. EA has a new patent that will enable players to make their in-game characters speak with their own voices. You're going to input your speech to this engine, and it's going to replicate your voice in the video game. I don't understand why anyone would want this.
As you know, I literally despise the sound of my own voice more than possibly
A lot of people
anything.
do. I would say most people.
When Mary's doing the chapter markers at the end of the episode and she's playing the audio back, I retch and shake in my seat as I have to hear the sound of my voice. I don't watch segments back.
And not just that, not just the fact that most people kind of dislike the sound of their own voice.
Yep.
But also you're just willingly giving over more of your personal data to the point where it's even your own voice to a big tech company. It's who owns EA, by the way? Is it Endeavor?
Microsoft?
Or Microsoft?
Somebody in the chat might know.
So let me just like donate my voice to Microsoft.
I don't know.
For them to keep my data forever. It doesn't seem like a great idea.
Electra, it's institutional investors holds a majority ownership of EA through the 82% of the outstanding shares that they control. The interest is also higher than at almost any other company in the recreational products. So I don't know.
I mean, this really just sounds like an excuse to hire less people. You don't have to hire and pay voice actors if people are willing to donate their own voices to the game.
EA Sports is a division of Electronic Arts, which is not owned by Microsoft. So it was not. It was not Microsoft. So, but yeah. So I mean, I don't really want to hear the sound of my own voice any other time than I have to. I don't even like hearing it here on the show, let alone for fun. But yeah, doesn't interest me one bit. And in more depressing news, do you want to tell everyone what the hell is going on with Doctor Who here? And this is just look, we haven't covered Doctor Who at all. We haven't there's a lot going on with Doctor Who.
I would consider
right
myself
now.
a former fan of Doctor Who, not a current fan of Doctor Who. I stopped paying attention when they brought on Peter Capaldi, to be honest, and then they just went fully woke after that. So apparently in a new episode, they depicted Isaac Newton as an Indian man. Do you want to, are we going to play the clip, or it's going to get us in trouble?
It's got the BBC watermark. I think we'd get caught for it.
So he discovers the law of gravity when the TARDIS lands on top of the apple tree that he's sitting under. But he just so happens to be Indian. This is historically accurate. If you didn't know, guys, they're rewriting history. Sir Isaac Newton, he was Indian. Yep. It is what it is.
I'm going to say another funny thing that I watched over the weekend. Have you ever seen all the videos where they take the endings of various movies and make them Michael Bay endings with Linkin Park songs?
No.
And they did one with the ending of Oppenheimer, and they make it the ending of a Michael. It's so good. It's so good. And because people were making jokes about making like the science cinematic universe, where it's like the next movie's called Einstein.
Oh no. So in a last-ditch effort to bring back any Doctor Who fans that left the show, they brought back David Tennant.
Oh.
And this headline says, peak woke for Doctor Who. Isaac Newton was of Indian heritage and the doctor fancies him. So apparently David Tennant is sexually attracted to the Indian version of Isaac Newton.
Okay, there's one more here. We got a $20 one from organizedbusinessservices.com. He says, no, I was saying that Jersey Mike subs would have put paid ads on your show. As a rep of Jersey Mike subs and a 40-year friend with Peter Cancro, we cannot have that talk live. It's not you. It's Mr. Poole. Brett, get out now.
I think we're going to be just fine without the Jersey Mike subs sponsorship deal, but thank you for the offer. We're going to continue making any of our offensive jokes.
Yeah, I have a hard time. I mean, we, for the most part, we don't really get all that spicy on here. Like a Friday show with multiple guests where, you know, I'm not going to tell them that they can't say
or if Tim has to ask us, do you guys swear on the show?
Yeah, like I don't feel like we're actually all that risque on most days, but that's also, remember, I'm not a conservative, so I might have different sensibilities than some of the people watching. Like it's just not going to offend me, but I understand, like when it comes to advertising, that's a whole different deal. Sure. I get it. But yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's start with cute.
Okay. Let's go cute of the day first. I've got some, and I decided to, I put my own forward for cute of the day today. This one here, it says Bucko is looking for a slice. Hashtag PCC Pets.
Oh, yeah. I saw him with this little, like, bandana around his neck, and I thought it was so cute. He was sitting on top of a box like he usually does.
He's so regal.
Yeah. I like this look for him, but I think he forced it off.
Yes.
I saw it just laying on the floor.
Well, he had the scab on the back. And,
yeah.
But he's looking regal. He's looking fantastic. It says made just for you on the pizza box, and he sat there all weekend.
It was made just for him.
It was just for him. All right, let's do one more. This is we need public servants, not politicians. Says, hey, Brett and Mary, happy 500 PCC. Looking forward to the next 500. From Minnesota, these are then and now of PCC watchers Loki, R.I.P., Gunner, and Tuca, I think is how you pronounce that. Oh,
is this like how they looked like when we first started versus
maybe
500th episode?
Or maybe just when they were, I mean, looks tired in that one.
Yeah.
Looks downright tired. It looks tired in that one too, but very, very cute. Let's do one more here.
I like the puppy photos.
It's good. It's very good. All right. Let's go ahead and, why don't we just go ahead and get started
We
then?
haven't seen Cringe.
Oh, yes. We do have to do Cringe of the day, don't
Brett.
we? Oh, well, what would we be without Cringe of the day? Here we go.
Lucy Gray! Lucy!
Yes? How accurate is the dress?
That looks like Party City made it, but that lingered on for way too long, didn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not like I wouldn't have cringed otherwise, but
yeah.
Wow. And I saw a comment that said, not surprised he's thirsting after another character who's just graduating high school. Yeah. Nothing new from James Charles.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Let's go ahead and get started. So, last week, we missed a couple of days here on the show because we were over live for the Lady Ballers premiere from Daily Wire. We did a review of that film. That review is up on the channel right now. We have a longer form interview segment to be coming out later. It could possibly come out tonight. We'll look into it. If it does, it's going to be coming out at 8 p.m. tonight. We're hoping to release it then. The edit is done. We just got to get the thumbnail made and all of that stuff. But Lady Ballers had quite a big impact over the weekend, and journalists aren't happy. First things first, Jeremy, who we all know is both the star of the movie and the guy in charge over there at the Daily Wire, says thank you to everyone who helped give Lady Ballers the biggest launch in Daily Wire Plus history. Best launch day for new subs. Best launch day for reviews, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the online buzz is off the charts. Come have a laugh with us at the Daily Wire. I will say that we had critiques of the movie. We did critique the movie. I did find that there were things in the movie that weren't perfect. But one thing that cannot be denied is just how much the journalists seem to hate this film.
It's like the outcry of the journalists makes the movie even better.
Yes.
You know? And it's interesting. He also pointed out that none of the trades decided to report on the fact that they were releasing this movie, despite the fact that they did report on the other ones that they released, like Terror on the Prairie or Pendragon Cycle, or the announcement about the Daily Wire's Snow White movie. They reported on all of those, but this one they decided was a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Much so that we have to ignore the fact entirely that it exists.
Not just that, but also the theaters wouldn't even take meetings with them about having this movie at their theaters. I'm guessing that they had to rent it out, just because we were at an AMC to see it live, so they could rent it out for a night to show it, but they're not releasing it to general audiences.
Right, and if there had been any hope of this getting released in theaters, I'm sure that they would have actually written it in a different way that would be more accessible to mainstream audiences to understand the issue. But it was written for Daily Wire's existing audience. And I think that despite the critique that it's a little bit too much of an inside joke, I'm saying that, you know, they wrote and created it with the intention of their existing audience watching it and enjoying it. So that makes sense to me.
You're making a product for the audience that you know will support it.
Yes, who already agrees with the message of the movie. Yeah. And they're saying, you know, even though we can't release this in theaters, you give the existing audience what they want, and that the way that they affect the culture is by their personal relationships and word of mouth. That makes more sense to me than attempting and then failing to get this theatrically released, because that was never going to happen.
So it got hundreds of positive reviews despite the backlash from LGBTQI plus members. It says the film has been slammed as transphobic by LGBTQ plus people and their allies. Well, that's your first problem. If you're talking about allies, then we're already into the nitty gritty of the politics.
I am looking at some of these hate articles that came out before the movie even came out. Yeah. One from LGBTQnation.com said, "Bias watch. Right-wingers made a comedy, quote-unquote, comedy movie attacking trans women in sports, and it looks terrible. Matt Walsh wears a wig and a beard in the role of a trans queer woman." Now, that's just not even true.
No,
they just reported this without fact-checking it, without watching it, and assumed that his character was a trans woman. In reality, he's just a liberal guy. He's the role of a liberal guy with a wig on.
Yes.
There's not.
I wouldn't say he's a liberal. I'd say he's a leftist.
A leftist man who identifies as such.
I did put a poll up today, ladies and gentlemen. Says, have you watched Lady Ballers yet? Did you like it so far? 68% say they haven't watched it. So, you know, go and watch our review.
That makes sense to me, because it's just really hard to get people onto a new subscriber-based platform.
I do recommend going and watching our review of it if you're not going to go and watch it.
Yeah.
29% say they watched it and loved it, and 3% say they watched it and hated it. So some people didn't like it. And like I said, my critiques of the movie were mainly down to the writing, where I thought it was very heavy-handed in some places, and a little bit of the characterization. It's definitely not a perfect film. But, you know.
I mean, this is just written like a parody.
Yes.
That the Daily Wire would have written. The far-right and viciously anti-trans Daily Wire has announced its first feature-length comedy film written to mock trans women and girls who are fighting for the right to participate in sports as their gender. A trailer depicts a group of cis men deciding to pretend to be trans women and join a women's basketball league as one team with the intent of dominating the sport. It calls the film the most triggering comedy of the year, a derisive reference to the right-wing narrative that progressives are snowflakes who are easily triggered. I mean, you are kind of proving that by writing this article.
Yeah.
This is ironic, considering that the people at the Daily Wire were so triggered by the existence of trans people that they made an entire movie about something that has never happened.
Well,
bro, they literally documented real examples of this happening.
Yeah. Also, if they'd watched the movie, they could have. What would have been great, and what could help the discourse between people, is if they watched the movie in good faith And I understand for them that would be hard because they're not going to want to give the Daily Wire any money to do that, right? They're not going to want to do that. But what would be great is for open-minded people who disagree with them to watch it and then critique, was it actually making fun of them, or
Right.
was it commenting on an absurd political, socio-political phenomenon, but also adding a lot of heart to its message. Like, I feel like if they were to watch this movie and at least try to understand the main character's point of view, you could still disagree with the message, but agree that it wasn't just blatantly hateful, rather something that critiqued it in its own way using humor while providing a message of its own. And I do have a problem on its face of overtly political movies coming out these days. Granted, the Daily Wire's doing Pendragon Cycle and all of these other things that are not inherently political. But I mean, what most of the people in the middle have been calling for is not for anti-woke films. They just want films that don't have any of the current day political wokeness in them, right? There is a difference inherently between a movie being anti this and just being a good movie. Anti-woke means that you're pushing back inherently against what they're doing, and you're doing the exact opposite. If you're just making a good movie,
Sure.
This falls firmly into the anti-woke movie category. I wouldn't necessarily want to watch a movie like this more than one time, even if I did enjoy it, because it does fall into that category. But I think that they're going to have more success with the general public with things like Pendragon Cycle.
Well, the point being, like, this is the only movie that they've made so far I can think of that is explicitly political.
Yes,
Their first
absolutely.
feature-length movie was not political. It was just a Western.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where was all of the praise for that?
Yeah.
And they're not willing to engage with it in a good faith way, like you just suggested.
That's wishful thinking.
Because, like they said, this is the religious issue that they have chosen on the left.
That and climate change.
They'll just claim this is a movie about something that has never happened.
Yeah.
And I really viewed this as a follow-up to Matt Walsh's documentary, What is a Woman? Because in that documentary, he literally interviews the female athletes to whom this did happen. And then they added a cameo of Riley Gaines to whom this did happen in the real world, but they are not willing to engage with that.
Yeah.
They're just not.
But the funny thing is, in the Out article, they mentioned Leah Thomas. And one of their referencing points for Leah Thomas is that Leah Thomas is only ranked 32nd in Division I and 32nd in college amongst women. But what was Leah Thomas ranked amongst men? It was like 400 and something.
Right.
That's the example that they give, is to say that this isn't a real phenomenon and that you're just making much to do about nothing.
If there's any issue that is a losing issue for the left, it is this one. It's the easiest target. And then I also saw another article about Lady Ballers from out.com that says this trailer for a quote unquote comedy film about trans athletes is the worst thing we've ever seen. We're more bothered by the lack of talent and skill in this movie than by its transphobia. Now, to that point, they told us that when they started reaching out to potential talent for this movie, it was a no. Even from people who are ostensibly on this side of the fence, who totally agree with the message of the movie, who totally agree that this is something that should be made. But because they need to protect their own careers and reputations, they said no to being involved in it.
Yeah.
So they reached out to a lot of people who are career actors, and they said no. And that leaves you with what option? You go to people who have less of a rap sheet. You've been cornered into that decision. And I think it turned out unexpectedly well.
Yeah. Andy was telling me, I was talking to Andy over the weekend. He says he wished they could have gotten Vince Vaughn to play Jeremy's role, to play the coach's role. Mm-hmm. I said Jeremy did better than I had any right to expect him to do in that film, but it would have been great if they could have gotten like a seasoned...
It seems like he more so took the role out of necessity because it was on such a time crunch that they didn't really have time to go searching for someone who would be willing to do it.
And this isn't the only thing that happened with all of this. If you guys remember, for those of you who watch it, there's an actor named Siaka Masakoi who was in the movie who was arrested after the premiere upon returning home to Los Angeles in connection with being there on J6.
Yeah.
That is insane. 3 years later.
That is insane.
That is insane.
And it's such an opportune time. It's really suspicious.
Oh yeah. It says in 2023, Siaka found himself under arrest nearly 3 years post the U.S. Capitol event on January 6th. This event took place while Massaquoi and his pregnant wife Charlotte were returning from the Daily Wire's Lady Ballers premiere in Nashville. He is facing, and they arrested him for misdemeanors.
This is insane.
Linked to his alleged involvement in the Capitol protest. This arrest has sparked a debate with some suggesting political motivations due to his known conservative views and support for Trump. I remember he had a Stories of Us segment with PragerU that was really, really good. Much the same way that I felt that Samira's was really, really good from them. And it absolutely is this. And you go to these events and you see these people who make this movie and they're in there by necessity because nobody else wants to touch the subject matter. And you wonder what the hell happened to the idea. It's not that free speech is necessary. I mean, free speech is under attack, yes. But free speech is not why people chose not to make this movie. It's because they were scared because of the political backlash that would come from the LGBTQIA plus lobby. Right? It's not a question as to whether they would have the right to say it. It's a question as to whether they would suffer unbelievable social consequences for what they had to say. Mm-hmm. And that's just sad. It's just sad that they look, we go to movies all the time here. We review movies all the time here. We review movies all the time here from people who we probably disagree with on a range of topics. We go review Disney movies here, even though we dislike Disney on a large scale, because we want to give you honest reviews. And for the most part, like I say all the time on this channel, I'm not necessarily here. I understand the idea that changing the culture is important, but what I want to do is give you guys something to watch and entertain you for a couple of hours. And some of you may have, respect seeing a review for something that you might inherently disagree with the people making it, but still be able to be given a fair review from people who just want to let you know what they thought about it, right? I can review a movie from somebody at Disney. I can review a movie from somebody at A24, any of these studios, and tell you that it's good or it's bad. It sucks that both sides can't seem to be able to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. It sucks.
I saw a more balanced report on this from Newsweek, where they got some comments from Christian Toto. He was literally the only critic review that I saw for this movie. The critics are totally ignoring it. And he praised the movie. But then they followed it up by saying that the experts have declared this issue to be unfounded. And the ACLU is cited here saying, excluding women who are trans hurts all women. It invites gender policing that could subject any woman to invasive tests or accusations of being too masculine or too good at their sport to be a real woman. This is absolutely bonkers, crazy, insane. They're going to start measuring the testosterone levels of biological female athletes. That's just not going to happen.
That for the Olympics or some stuff, right? They do some.
Well, they test them. They obviously drug test them for steroids and performance enhancing drugs. Yes.
I do love the idea that there's somebody out here who's preaching laissez-faire genderism.
What is this? This is such a joke of a counter argument. And people talk about how abortion is a losing issue for the right. Talk about how trans women in women's sports is a losing issue for the left, because this is the most accessible one to the mainstream that people can safely say, that's ridiculous. That is insane.
The sports aspect of it, right?
Yes. Even if you can't agree with the rest of it, even if you think that, trans women should be in the women's bathrooms or changing rooms or what have you, the sports aspect of it, everyone can get on board with that. Every sane person who's not an activist or a journalist can get on board with that.
Yeah. To the normies, I think that's a losing issue to the normies for them. The way I do believe that abortion is a losing issue for the right with normies most of the time, personally.
But I say even more so, many more degrees. this is a losing issue for the left. So obviously, but they're so religiously fanatic about it, they're not going to let it go.
Yep. All right. Let's go to Super Chats.
All right. Andrew Jacobs said, make Shapiro sane again. Well done, Mary. What does that mean?
Probably your reel that you, or the YouTube short that you posted.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro gets emotional watching Lady Ballers. Bucky Ducky said full Lady Baller interviews when? That
hopefully, actually, I can check the Slack right now. Does Mary, can you see that one?
Yes.
That looks good.
It's going to be later tonight.
8 p.m.
Yes.
I will post it. It will be out tonight at 8 p.m. on our channel. Watch us instead of Timcast.
Shane H. Wilder said, a normal week? What is this of which you speak? Well, I guess none of it is normal, but we're back to our version of normal.
I'm ready for at least semi-normal week.
Greg Duvier said, now that you watched Lady Ballers, go watch The Shift by Angel Studios. That's out in theaters right now.
Yeah. I
did think about watching it over the weekend, but just like the timing didn't work out. But I have seen a lot of people saying they liked it.
In the chat, Francisco says, how is not murdering babies a losing issue? I'm saying that the bills don't get passed and they lose legislatively.
Well, no, because I would say it's like... ban it, like obviously federally banning abortion on a political level, that's a losing issue. But the Democrat platform of having all elective abortions through all 9 months of pregnancy, that is also a losing issue for Democrats because most Democrats don't agree with that.
That would assume that they're high info enough to actually know what the bills say.
Right. Not that Jon Stewart, or sorry, Just a Stranger said, will you guys be reviewing Godzilla -1?
I don't know if we're going to have time for that this week. We've got a bunch of stuff going on.
Probably not.
I did want to, so I was going to review Silent Night and I decided not to go.
Tacti Platty also said, Godzilla -1, any plans to watch, please?
I did see the trailer for Godzilla X Kong. It's kind of wild looking. It's very, the CGI is, there's CGI is dodgy. I don't know if you've watched any of the...
Is this the same studio?
No, this is from the Monsterverse studio, the ones that did Kong Skull Island.
Does that mean Godzilla is like a public domain?
I don't know if Godzilla's no, because I think it's licensed through Toho. I could be wrong there, but it's Godzilla vs Kong, and it looks fairly interesting. Like it's very CGI heavy, and the CGI is dodgy in places, but it looks like a popcorn flick. So I'll probably be happy to go see it. I don't know when it comes out, sometime in 2024.
Mad Max Furiosa movie looked
very
really
CGI heavy. Yep. Let's actually hold off on the rest, and we'll come back after the fact. Why don't you tell us, everyone, what's going on with Billie Eilish?
Billie Eilish just unintentionally came out as queer. And obviously you can't come out as just gay or bisexual or lesbian in 2023 because that is not trendy enough. You have to come out as queer also so that you can keep plausible deniability when you continue dating men for the rest of your life as a woman. You can still be under the big tent movement of LGBT if you choose to go by queer. So everyone was saying, I thought that we all knew this already, that Billie Eilish is gay, that she's attracted to women. I mean, just look at the way she dresses. She looks like Adam Sandler. She dresses like Adam Sandler in all of these loose-fitting clothes, looking kind of butch.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is this not the stereotype that all of you have been pretending to fight against for decades? That the way someone chooses to dress or present themselves has nothing to do with their gender identity or sexual orientation. But apparently, just because Billie Eilish wore loose-fitting clothes, which according to her was because of her body image issues, we were just supposed to know that she was attracted to women this whole time, and that was her signal.
I think
and
this
as
whole
a
thing
result,
was planned.
Well, here's what happened. As a result, she has lost more than 100,000 followers on Instagram after coming out. That just sounds like a coincidence to me. That's very few people, actually.
Out of like 110 million?
Yeah.
That's.
And we talked about the Variety cover story in which she basically came out and said it, that she's attracted to women, and I didn't think much of it. I thought that must have happened months ago. I wasn't really paying attention. It's not newsworthy when people come out. You need to come out as straight now to make headlines, because I just assumed that all of these people are under the tent of LGBTQ at this point.
I see so many. What's really sad is like I see so many old articles about like the hot women who say I was such a tomboy growing up, and we're just going to be doing away with the hot straight women that started out as tomboys. Makes me sad.
Yeah.
I think Megan Fox was one of those who said she was a tomboy when she was young.
It's no longer a thing.
It's very sad.
Yeah. So recently, Billie Eilish did a red carpet interview with Variety after that big story came out. And she claims that they outed her against her will in this interview, which is absolutely insane. So let's just take a look at the video. You guys can judge for yourself. Does Billie Eilish seem hurt and offended and shocked that someone outed her against her will?
Here we go.
You felt like for a long time women didn't like you, and when that came out, all the women were like, "No, we love her."
I know.
How did that reception feel? Has your mind changed a little bit?
I'm still scared of them, but I think they're pretty.
Billie, did you mean to come out in this story, girl?
No, I didn't, but I kind of thought, wasn't it obvious? Like, it's kind of been, I didn't realize people didn't know, so.
We need to get to a point where you don't even have to come out. So
I just don't really believe in it. I'm just like, why can't we just exist? I've been doing this for a long time. And
I
just
agree,
didn't
just don't talk about it.
Whoops.
you felt like for
Also,
Yet she is the one making a big thing of it, making everyone talk about it and think about it. And in Billie's own words, I thought everyone knew. Isn't it obvious? So how can someone out you against your will if you thought everyone knew that you were gay?
Let's talk about the real crime in this video. Those
Yeah.
glasses are
Yeah.
the real crime in this video.
Yeah.
They are.
They did her dirty with that.
It's also
and
a
then
huge, it does hurt. I mean, I really feel like that interviewer made a huge leap beyond saying women are pretty.
No, yeah, but I think coming out is such a trend now that I think every female who has ever just had a thought occur to her, like, oh, that other girl over there is pretty, or like Megan Fox is pretty. If you've ever even intellectually thought that about another woman, well, then that makes you gay, right?
Yeah.
That makes you bisexual. That is not the case.
I was watching this TikTok the other night of this lady who says, like, ever notice like guys who have like one dude that they're like, that they stand, they're like, he's a Henry Cavill dude. He's
Right.
he's a like,
It doesn't make him gay.
no, they said, if
No.
anything, they said it makes the woman in this video was saying it makes him more attractive because it makes him feel more confident in their heterosexuality, that they can acknowledge that a dude is good looking without.
Sure.
Feeling
Yeah,
like-
there is a reason why terms such as woman crush and man crush were invented, because you're not actually sexually attracted to someone. You can just acknowledge that they're attractive objectively, even though you're not gay.
Yeah.
So Billie Eilish followed up this red carpet interview to throw Variety and this specific girl under the bus. I hope she doesn't lose her job. And it's with a photo of her sitting on the toilet with her pants pulled down. So that's really just such a classy look. And here's her caption. It reads, "Thanks, Variety, for my award and for also outing me on a red carpet at 11 a.m. instead of talking about anything else that matters. I like boys and girls. Leave me alone about it, please. Literally, who cares? Stream What Was I Made For?" And everyone in the comments is praising her for this display of her underwear pulled around her ankles.
I don't know how. Well, first of all, I think it was all set up to begin with. It feels like a PR push being
I
done.
mean, that would be better for the girl who interviewed her, because
Yeah.
you're literally putting this person's job on the line to call them out over this. And they didn't do anything wrong.
Nope.
You literally came right out and said that you were attracted to women. And then you're going to act like someone acknowledging that statement is outing you against your will. As if, by the way, as if being gay in 2023 comes with any social stigma anymore. If anything, being heterosexual is what comes with a social stigma.
They're like, you like the opposite sex? Why are you weird?
Right. Like, do you remember when those two Good Morning America hosts ended up leaving their own respective spouses
Yep.
and started to date each other? And then Good Morning America suspended them and said, this reflects so poorly on ABC. This is not aligning with our company values. I thought, you know, if these were two hosts of the same sex who ended up dating each other,
It would be fine.
there would never be any such backlash. In fact, this would be celebrated, promoted, and they would get paid more for it, I bet. So there's more of a stigma around being heterosexual. Not like I condone the way they went about it. Obviously, they're cheating on their spouses.
Also,
But the stigma was that they're straight.
For this, she says, literally, who cares? Like, people care. Like, one of the things that I find funny is like, I try to avoid using that statement, and sometimes I do fall into that trap of saying, like, you know, when I get flustered or frustrated with something, I'll be like, who cares? But the fact of the matter is, people care. People leave comments on our videos saying, who cares about this? You care. You left a comment on it. You care.
Yeah, this would not provoke such a response or make headlines if people didn't care. Clearly, her own fan base cares. She's just mad that they care. I don't know. Were we supposed to think that when you were dancing around performing on stage, Billie, in your recent tour with a rainbow flag wrapped around your back, that you were not in some way identifying with this LGBTQ community?
Yep.
What were we supposed to assume? And also, you know, the assumption that 100,000 people or more unfollowed Billie Eilish because she's gay is absurd when you pair it with this photo of her on the toilet with her pants around her legs.
I don't think it's absurd. I think what it is like people, 100,000 people sounds like a lot. 110 million people is a whole lot of people,
which is her total follower count.
Mathematically, losing 100,000 people is nothing, and it doesn't really. And you think about the population of the world; it's not like all her fans are American. She's got fans from all over the world. There's 8 billion people on this planet. 110 million of them follow her. 100,000 unsubscribe to her because of this issue. That is not that many. They will make it out to be a big issue.
The average Billie Eilish fan, as we know, of course, supports the Westboro Baptist Church.
I'm sure that most of them are on their way to Trump rallies when they're listening to her music.
Yeah, it's not like if Candace Cameron Bure, for instance, came out as a lesbian. It's just not. Like,
that would be so funny.
Her fans obviously want her to identify with this group. It gives her more social brownie points, and she gets to act like the victim. She's cashing in her victim points by claiming that she was outed against her will, and that's not true. She clearly is benefiting from this and is gonna make money off of it, make headlines off of it.
The glasses are far more concerning to me than the outfit.
Truly, it was
like, I
ghastly.
love that this is what that like we I just love it. It's
like, I know that when Billie Eilish is wearing this outfit, she does not look in the mirror and think that she looks like a snack.
Nope.
She dresses feminine sometimes, and that's when everybody, you know, loves it. Like, we love when she wears dresses and does her hair and her makeup, but this is like her spiting almost the people that celebrate her for being beautiful.
I'm generally anti-baggy pants for women anyways, so.
I mean, at least like the trend right now is when you wear baggy pants, you wear like a tighter top with it. This is just.
How about wearing a tight top and tight pants, ladies?
Whatever happened to that?
What do you, exactly? We used to be a country, Mary. We used to be a proper country.
I don't know. This just screams virtue signaling and wanting attention no matter what it's for.
It's a boost for her career.
And people need to stop taking pictures of themselves on the toilet with their pants down. Why is this a trend? Stop!
Is this a trend?
Yes. Yes, I've seen countless people do it.
That's weird.
Yeah. It is weird.
What's the reason for it?
Didn't like Kourtney Kardashian do the same thing? Like they're always doing this. It's just like, I'm disgusting, celebrate me for it.
Who had a worse coming out experience, her or Rebel Wilson?
Or David Archuleta.
Rebel Wilson.
Rebel Wilson, at least you could say, yes, she didn't want people to know that she was in a gay relationship.
It's also annoying that this says, like, leave me alone about it. Like, your job requires you to be in the public consciousness.
Leave me alone, but also stream my music and give me money.
Yes.
That's what that says.
We don't like the funny thing is like, look, when we make our videos and our segments come out or whatever, we don't have the right to tell people to not leave comments on the videos. You have a right to respond however you want. If we choose to put our thoughts out into the ether, people have a right to respond. It's only fair. Let's go to Super Chats.
Bucky Ducky said, as someone who spends every weekend at the Renaissance Fair, I will say being a pirate is pretty dope. Get your peg legs and eye patches out.
There you go.
This is the true response that we need to have in the culture war. The last of my kind said, eat some oranges, you won't get scurvy.
There you go. Who's getting scurvy?
The pirates.
Oh, the pirates.
Ken Lipson said, please have Carter on. I love his music.
Okay. We can work on that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do you get the one from Shane H. Wilder there?
Yeah.
Let's do that one and then we'll move on.
I've got my parrot in for sailing the high seas. I'm training it to talk by leaving it in a room with Alex Jones on loop. It will be a based parrot.
There you go. It'll be fantastic.
That sounds terrifying, but I do want to see a parrot do an Alex Jones impression.
Okay. All right, we'll hold off on the rest. Guys, we're very close to a second crisis party. I do want to ask you again, if you are not subscribed to this channel already, keep subscribing. Helps the channel grow. Helps us reach new people. Also, share these videos with your friends. Share the live streams, the segments. Get people talking about it. Mary, what the hell's going on with Satanism in Hollywood?
Yeah. So there is an ongoing discourse on this show about whether Taylor Swift is the Antichrist, because she just has this massive popularity that is inexplicable to the people who aren't part of her fan base. And I wouldn't say personally that I believe Taylor Swift is the Antichrist, but I bet that there are tons of mainstream pop stars that do occult rituals, whether it's in private or on stage at their concerts. And that's why this video of Taylor Swift on the Eras tour has gone viral with millions of views. She is standing on a moving stage that resembles the Black Cube. And I don't know if a lot of you guys are familiar with this type of symbolism.
Let's watch the video first.
Let's watch it, and you can have your take.
I wonder if this will get copyrighted.
I don't think so.
That was a good smash zoom or smash zoom out.
Yeah. So she's convulsing on stage. I love how low effort her choreography is, by the way.
But the thing is, the stage is so intricate that's where most of the work seems to go.
Right. So she's on this moving stage that at the beginning of the video, it really resembled the Black Cube, which is part of occult symbolism. I'll explain more on that, but this got tens of millions of views, and the caption is "Hidden Symbolism in Plain Sight." I saw someone comment, dark energy, goddess, or idol worship. These fans are participants in a ritual, whether they know it or not. Other people are saying idol worship, Masonic witch casting a spell over the crows. This is brainwashing. I see sorrow, lost souls reaching out to a false hope that will never bring them anything but pain. Now, that is a bit of a dramatic way to word it, but celebrity idol worship is totally cultural
idolatry
in our society.
Oh,
that is idol worship.
Yeah,
in a very plain sense of the word. Now, the symbolism that they're referring to with the Black Cube, this is a symbol that is associated with Saturn, a god that is also referred to as Kronos in Roman mythology and Greek mythology. And the Black Cube also resembles the Kaaba, which is at the center of the most important mosque that is a pilgrimage site for Muslims in Mecca. They circle around it. It's this I don't really understand it. I'm not Muslim, Maybe one of you could explain it to us if you do understand the significance of it. But they make pilgrimage to the Black Cube, which is called the Kaaba in Islam, and it did look like that. That is the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw this video. And it's also seen as an inside joke from the elites that run Hollywood and all of the halls of power in society, the globalists, if you will. The who is
Where
they
is
though?
Alex Jones?
The who is they though? They use the Black Cube, according to some conspiracy theorists, as a way to signal to each other that they belong to the club, that they're loyal to the club, and you're not in it. If you don't understand the symbolism, you're not in it. So this, in their mind, would be Taylor Swift signaling to the other elites in the
Jay-Z
world.
doing that?
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I mean, the triangle symbol, the eye, that they do in photo shoots,
Lady
things like
Gaga.
that. Things that signal to each other that they're part of the Hollywood cult. I don't think that it's all that far-fetched. I know for sure that whatever we're told isn't true. That's my posture toward any conspiracy theory. I don't think Taylor Swift is necessarily a Satanist. I don't think she's necessarily a witch or a Freemason or in the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it. But I don't doubt for a second that there are mainstream pop stars and actors that engage in occult rituals, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the Marina Abramovic spirit cooking parties where she invites all of these celebrity friends of hers.
Yeah.
They're all part of something. We don't know what to call it, and we don't know exactly all of what it entails. But it exists.
And it's not just this. You also had this story from Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, so Cosmo is obviously one of the most notorious women's magazines. It's lost some of its cultural influence over the years, but they recently released this article titled Inside Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic. Need a minute? No problem. This marrying of lightning rod concepts, Satan, abortion, and the Supreme Court is a lot. Intentionally so, in fact. Chalice Blythe, an ordained minister of Satan and the group's spokesperson for reproductive rights, says at this point, we don't have the luxury of trying to make abortion seem more palatable because we tried that and now look where we are. We're just going to come out with both arms swinging, completely defiant. So Cosmopolitan posted a guide for all of their female readers on how does a satanic abortion ceremony work. Patients of all faiths are welcome at Samuel Alito's Mom's Satanic Abortion Clinic in New Mexico. Along with medical counsel, TST offers free ceremonial support to everyone. Abortion ceremonies are totally optional and customizable. So they're giving a full recommendation and endorsement of satanic abortion rituals. This is child sacrifice. They're not, it's mask off at this point. They're done framing this as a reproductive rights issue. Yep. They're done trying to mask this as a feminist issue. It is a religion to them.
I mean, that's why we've gone from pro-choice to pro-abortion, right? It's
right.
No longer about having a choice, safe, legal, and rare, to being something that has its own cult following behind it. We see that on TikTok with people who have whole channels dedicated to talking about abortion. Not doctors, but people who make it a large part of their content, right?
Right. So here's one of the slides that Cosmo posted. Once the procedure is complete, return to your reflection. Focus on your personhood, your power in making this decision. Complete the ritual by reciting the personal affirmation. By my body, by my blood, by my will, it is done.
Do you think part of this is also people just trying to be as to push back as hard as they can, be as edgy as they can?
Trolling?
Yeah.
Trying to be edgy?
Yeah.
I think that that's a convenient excuse for what is really actual Satanism. I think that if they can say it this explicitly, we should believe them when they tell us who they are.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't see this as a joke. And I also saw someone tweeting about this, saying, I was mocked for saying Chrissy Teigen sacrificed her child. First, she said she had a miscarriage. Then a year later, came forward with the truth about it being an abortion that was on a full moon.
I do
intentionally
remember. Okay, so what I mentioned to you before is I remember when that story initially came out. First of all, she was in trouble for like cyberbullying somebody in DMs. I forget who it was, but she was cyberbullying somebody, sending somebody awful messages. Don't remember who, but also that her talk came out at the same time. She said it was what? She said it was a miscarriage. I remember it coming out at the time when, whether it was because of Roe v. Wade or all of these topics at that time, it was when ectopic pregnancy was a huge part of the debate. And she said she had an ectopic pregnancy. And fueled it and used it as fuel for the abortion discussion.
Yeah, but she switched back and forth on that story so many times that I don't know what to believe about it. So just gonna throw that out there. That's still an open question. But since you brought up people trolling and trying to be edgy, I think Lil Nas X is a perfect example of that in pop culture. He makes a music video where he is twerking on Satan's ass. Like he clearly, with the Nike shoe where he put his blood in the shoe as a satanic ritual of some sort. He clearly thinks that this is a big joke, and he's trying to rebrand right now that he can make Christian music. So he tweeted, "Making Christian music doesn't mean I can't SD no more. The two are not mutually exclusive. I am allowed to get on my knees for multiple reasons."
I'm not religious, so I Mary, thoughts?
I just think this is obviously a pathetic attempt at being edgy and offensive. He's, flying too close to the sun here. It's not.
In what way?
I think, some people will come right out and tell you who they are and they're demonic. Mm-hmm. I won't shy away from a word like that, but when I look at Lil Nas X in particular, I don't think that he would, in his heart of hearts, identify as a Satanist. I think he's just trying to be edgy. Madonna is another example of that.
I mean, I see
someone who's just trying to be edgy no matter what it takes.
Of them that way. So that's an interesting idea. So think of it this way: maybe the ones you worry about more are the ones who don't wrap it in edginess, like what you're saying with Taylor Swift. Worry more about the ones who put the symbolism behind standard art rather than those who push the topic heavily to the forefront of their art. You look at the ones who, like a Lil Nas X or who is the other, or Madonna, or any of these people that push back heavily. Think of that as the edgy content, and maybe the ones who hide it more covertly in their art as the ones who are maybe true believers.
And a Sabrina Carpenter is another example of this. I tweeted about her. She's a former Disney child star who had this squeaky clean image that she needs to rebrand herself.
I will say.
And she's, obviously gotten in trouble for this music video where she is inside this church. The priest who allowed this to happen was removed from his administrative duties. And she offered an official comment on the situation, trying to be really clever. She said, "We got approval in advance, and Jesus was a carpenter." So Sabrina Carpenter, she might as well be Jesus. She's openly blaspheming. And this is what she had to say about that controversy. But again, she's just another Lil Nas X, another Madonna, another Demi Lovato even. All of these people who just, for some reason, think that they need to disrespect religion in their art.
The astroturfing of her right now is insane.
Yeah.
I understand that part of it is organic because she's opening for Taylor Swift, if I'm not mistaken.
She is.
Right? Okay. So Instagram will show me endless edited reels of people showing her live to her song intercut with clips from the music video. I've never looked up Sabrina Carpenter on the internet. I've clicked on Taylor Swift links when it's related to stuff that we're talking about, and I get very little about Taylor Swift unless it's related to like Travis Kelce, because I do look at some sports stuff. But I get a whole ton of Sabrina Carpenter stuff right now from bot fan accounts that have that don't seem like they've been around for that long and only have a couple of posts, but are getting thousands upon thousands of followers, and it just feels very industry created.
Right.
And they've all got the same weirdo celebrity worship captions. Like, look at the way she. Thank you guys. The same weird captions. Thank you, Ian. Thank you. So the fact that most people still have no clue who Sabrina Carpenter is, but there's this massive push online, just seems to run contrary.
Right, and speaks to how freaking mediocre her actual work is. It sounds like it's generated by AI.
She does feel like the traditional female pop star. She's beautiful. She has sex appeal, but she's not super unique. But I get the appeal.
Well, there's all the money and all of the production value and the intricate sets and the costumes, and she's getting this promotion from Taylor Swift now. Yeah. But none of it is actually backed up with talent. I mean, at least you could say for Madonna, she actually was doing something new. As stupid as I think it was that she made disrespecting the Catholic Church into her whole aesthetic and held on to it for way too long to the point where it's embarrassing. The least you could say for her is that she was doing something that nobody did before. But as I said about Sabrina Carpenter, it wasn't all that edgy or interesting when Madonna did it the first time around. It's not interesting in 2023.
I mean, I don't think she's going to make anything church related the majority of her aesthetic. I think she's capitalizing on a moment right now. I think the rest of her stuff is just generic sexualized pop music, which, to be honest, in an age where we don't seem to get much sex appeal these days, I actually have no problem with. I did find the music video to be a bit cringy, but that's just my own personal taste. She's young and beautiful, and I would rather see young and beautiful pop stars be annoying than ugly pop stars be annoying.
Fair enough. Fair
Rosy
take.
side of I'll just look at things on the bright side here. She's skinny. She's skinny and hot. She's not Lizzo. Yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Adele would get a pass because she was actually talented.
It's a good trade-off.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, Adele never made her whole brand about being obese.
No, quite the opposite. She didn't
Unlike
have to.
Lizzo.
Other people did that to her. So, yeah.
And then lastly, I just wanted to mention this tweet that I found was gaining some traction today, featuring some photos of people that starred in Euphoria, Sam Levinson's disgusting teenage drama. It says, Euphoria was an MK Ultra project to mint the new A-list. Anyone who didn't play ball is conveniently dead. He's referring to Angus Cloud, who died of an overdose soon after season 2 of Euphoria came out, I believe. They've inserted them deep enough into the culture, there likely won't be another season of the show. The Idol press junket was a humiliation ritual to sideline Sam Levinson because he had served his purpose. And there are some pictures of Jacob Elordi and Zendaya. I would say Zendaya was already solidly A-list before Euphoria, but the rest of them, I've been seeing a lot more of Jacob Elordi. I've been seeing a lot more of Sydney Sweeney, a lot more of Hunter Schafer, who was also in Euphoria and is now in the new Hunger Games movie. And they said, the Idol is likely revelation of the method. Jocelyn, who is Lily Rose Depp's character, is positioned as a proto-religious figure, and The Weeknd is a celebrity sex cult leader. The catch is it trivializes it to make it seem like a bunch of freaks in the hills fingering each other rather than coordinated death cults a la Manson.
It's crazy the way the world is going these days. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not going to, sit here and not call it what it is all I'm saying. I'm not going to be called any names for saying that this is demonic. Like
these pictures?
That Sam Levinson's shows, or that desecrating a Catholic church in a music video, or promoting satanic abortion rituals in a pop culture magazine, or dancing on top of a black cube isn't exactly what it presents itself to be.
I will say that the abortion one feels the most that way to me. A lot of the rest of it, to me personally, feels like corporatized environments cashing in on edginess that they think will sell. But the abortion one, more than the others, to me feels more worthy of the description. My
point is, it's just pushing it far enough where if you call it demonic, which is exactly what it is, you will be called crazy.
I wonder if...
Or you'll be called a conservative fuddy-duddy. You just hate fun. you hate sex.
That's what it is. You're a fuddy-duddy, man.
They'll say you hate fun, you hate sex, you hate alcohol, you hate parties. When really they're just presenting to you the idea that, you know, Hollywood is run by celebrity sex cults and death cults as a joke. And if you say that this might have some salient meaning to reality, then you're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist.
And I
totally reject that framing. I reject even the term conspiracy theory, because whatever we're being told is true is not true.
And they'll straw man your argument, and they won't provide you. They won't, when describing what you're saying back to other people, they will put it in the least charitable light possible. As I think both sides have a problem of doing that, is people like to straw man or present the weakest version of an argument from the other side. And they definitely do that when you're trying to provide a rational response to what is the modern, you know, leftist or liberal ideology that permeates Hollywood as a whole.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, the way that they behave will show you that this is a cult of sorts. Look at the way that Kat Von D was treated after she publicly said she came out as a Christian and got baptized and said, you know, I'm getting rid of these books about occult practices and witchcraft from my home because I just don't feel like this aligns with my values anymore. And this is not safe for my family, and I want to prioritize my marriage, and I believe in God now. Like, she was trashed.
Yeah.
The way that they behave, it's like shunning. That is a cult-like practice.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I'm going to call it what it is.
It does have the seductive aspects of these demonic practices, where the best thing Hollywood does, and we see this by how well they seem to pull in young people all the time, right? And in a way, there's a decentralized version of that going on social media right now. The desire to become an influencer has become so seductive to people because more American children now want to be influencers than astronauts or doctors or any of this stuff. And anything that's inherently promoted in the media is going to have a seductive nature to it. Hollywood just does it in a way that, I'm assuming what you're saying is that is in a more demonic way than something like social media, where it's seductive with money, it's seductive with clout, whereas what they're doing, you feel like it's less hidden, right?
Like, if Satan can't get you to hell on the pathway of signing your name on a dotted line and selling your soul to him, he will just sell you something else in disguise. That's my point.
I wonder how, like, sometimes how it is for like me, who's been through rehab, and you see the promotion on a show like Euphoria of drug use. Now, for me, it runs headlong into my desire, or to my thought that people have a right to make their own mistakes and commit their own actions, suffer the consequences, and hopefully turn their life around. I rarely am one to tell you to not do something. One of the things I find funny is, like, when I tell people that I don't drink or do drugs anymore, usually what the response is like, oh, but I only do it. They think I'm shaming them by telling them that I don't do that when that's not my thought at all. I said, if anything, this is a me problem, not a you problem. I couldn't handle it. I'm not saying you can't. Those are two vastly different things, right? So, like, to me, you know, if I was to jump on board that argument anywhere, I guess it would be the fact that a lot of these shows, on cable at least, promote that stuff. I do still love old, like, network television shows would have these, like, really, really hilarious dare keep kids off drugs type attitudes towards drugs and stuff that I just don't see anymore. I kind of miss it. It was very wholesome.
Oh, but warning kids not to do drugs is so cheesy. It's so corny. It's so dorky.
Yeah. It's funny. So, you know, it's I would say that temper our thoughts for most people. You know, what your worldview is, how you were raised. Obviously, your religious upbringing will draw you to different conclusions here than someone like me who wasn't raised in that environment. But keep an eye on these things and always remain critical of what you see. I think that's the best thing you can do. And keep a close eye on these things if you have kids so that you can figure out what you're going to allow them to consume as far as entertainment goes. And use your best judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go Super Chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, I think Friday was fine. Heck, it got me followed by Alex Stein. Then again, it was probably only because I did 2 memes with him and y'all. LOL.
There you go.
Ryan Roberts said, Britt, can we get Ian singing punk rock added to the Crisis Party?
Oh, well, first you'd have to tell me what punk rock song you would like him to sing. I would need to know what you want from him. Are we talking what would you like if you could have?
I want a pop punk. Ian.
You want a pop punk song?
Yeah.
If I could get him to do, what if we could get him to do one of the songs from Pop Goes Punk?
When I got my Spotify Wrapped back, I looked at the top genres you listened to. And the last 2 were like some shit that I had never heard of in my life. These fake ass genres. One of them was called Escape Room. And then the other one was called Metropolis. Like, I don't know what this is. Get out of my face with that.
Did you see the one? So there was a couple of the Creed ones where all 5 bands are Creed. And the top 5 songs are Can You Take Me Higher? And then there's another one. It says all 5 artists are Taylor Swift. And it says like genres are like feminism, abortion rights. And it's hilarious.
Benzos.
Yeah, basically.
Were you jealous? Did you wish that you had a Spotify Wrapped?
No. I do, however, find it very, very lame when people are making the supposedly edgy take that nobody cares about your Spotify Wrapped. I reposted your thing that says I care about. I
genuinely am interested in your Spotify Wrapped, and I love you.
I reposted that because here's the thing. Yeah. People say nobody cares, but we live in this weird world, and I don't even know how to explain this in like actual language. But social media is now this weird world where when you share something, you're supposed to share it with the understanding that you hope the people you're sharing it to want to consume it because they chose to follow you, right? So when you post your lame video of fireworks, that's fine. The people who follow you chose to follow you. And if you go and message somebody that you chose to follow and told them that their fireworks video is lame, you're a douche. You're a douche, even if it is lame. Even if it is the worst shot fireworks video, even if it looks like a meth head it's doing like this and you can barely see what's going on, you're at fault because you chose to follow them. You're the bad guy, not them.
Go off.
So like the idea that, and then people in the comment sections were talking about this. They're like, no, I find music from looking at other people's Spotify lists, right? Like, who am I to tell you how to run your social media platform? I'm the one that chose to follow you, right? Makes no sense.
And I am genuinely interested.
There you go.
Not That John Stewart said Santos as played by Primetime 99, Alex Stein.
There you go.
Could Alex Stein play George Santos?
He has to put on some weight.
He would. I think he could do it though. Rachel Shriver said, I want to shout out a new song by JJ Gray called Rooster. It's so fun. I think fans of you, Chicken City, and Timcast will like it.
Why does the name JJ Gray sound so familiar to me?
I don't think I've heard of that
It
before.
sounds so familiar to me, but I can't place it. Do
Robert G. Smith said, R.I.P. Kim K's arse.
Must be British.
This is American currency. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Okay.
No, this is literal. This is literal.
Speaking of which, Mary.
Kim Kardashian's ass is mysteriously gone. It's disappeared. You're going to be seeing its picture on milk cartons any second now. You should be getting Amber Alerts for the disappearance of Kim K's ass.
This would be a half
any second now.
Alert.
It is gone. She's just posted some new photos over the weekend, got hundreds of millions of views, and everyone is asking the same question. Where did Kim Kardashian's ass go? What happened to it? Did she leave it somewhere? Look at this photo, okay? I've never seen Kim Kardashian so slender in my life. And not just that, but her ass is notably smaller.
There should be a caption that
Notably.
says, when the Ozempic hits just right.
Right? Yeah. And this, by the way, Ozempic is poison for your body. If anyone is taking that, it is at a huge risk to their health. It's proven that it gave cancer to lab rats that they gave it to. There was this guy who said his dick fell off because he took Ozempic.
I remember that.
And really what it is just medicalizing bulimia, because this is a drug that makes you sick. It makes you throw up every time that you eat. So you're just paying to have medicalized bulimia. You're glorifying an eating disorder. And even if Kim Kardashian tells you that she lost a bunch of weight in like a week by eating kale and waking up early and drinking apple cider vinegar and getting on her Peloton or something, she's lying. It's a lie. They're constantly surgically altering their bodies and taking experimental drugs at great risk to their health and the health of their followers to drastically alter their bodies. It's not natural. It's just not. So the fact that her ass is gone is it's kind of the end of an era, if you think about it.
It'll
because
come back.
this was her signature look. I mean, how do you just take off your ass and put it back on so many times? This could kill someone. And everyone was asking, first off, where is her ass? What happened to it? But secondly, the real question is, how do these celebs actually heal so fast after doing so many procedures? And Jamie, who I follow on Twitter, theorized, I heard they legit have a clinic built into their homes so they can recover in secret without ever leaving the house.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because the photos of them post-recovery going from clinic to home would be worth a fortune.
Mm-hmm. She says the Kardashians specifically. I do not wish to substantiate this claim with evidence. It checks out for me.
That was funny.
I agree. They could very well be doing that. And everyone has been noticing that the Kardashians are slimming down more and more and bringing back heroin chic. I wouldn't call it heroin chic. They're just bringing back not having a BBL.
In the chat, Unknown says, do we really care though? That's an interesting question here, because this is one of those things where, like, look, I'm a dude. Like, I don't watch the Kardashian show, but I understand that as a dude, you interact with women of the world today, especially for some reason, millennial women really, really identify with the Kardashians. Either they love them or they hate them, but they are style makers for the culture. And Kanye played a big part of that with Kim Kardashian over the years. So what you would be seeing if you're a woman is a possible guideline to where the style trends are going to go in the future, as all of these women are so heavily embedded in our media apparatus that they're going to be able to, by hook or by crook, change the culture through finances and exposure on their own. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's not about whether we care. It's about whether it matters to the culture. And I do think in some fashion
unfortunately it does. And it would be one thing if women were just mimicking the way that the Kardashians dress or the way they do their hair or their makeup.
Yeah.
But really, they're glorifying things that you can only achieve by going under the knife or getting syringes stuck all over your body and your face.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous part. And whether or not you personally care what Kim Kardashian does with her plastic surgery regimen, and I certainly don't, you're going to be seeing the after effects, the ripple effects out in society as the years go on. Because unfortunately, these women do copy everything that the Kardashians do. Even women who don't know that they're doing it are doing it.
Yeah.
Kardashians changed even the way that women do their makeup every day. I see it all the time. They're overlining their lips. They're doing these giant drag race type eyebrows and, getting fake tans all the time, contouring. I mean, Kim Kardashian was one of the first celebrities that popularized that.
Yeah. Like actually what's interesting is more the plastic surgery route that you've talked about, right? That women are starting to look alike because of plastic surgery trends that in many ways they popularized on their own.
And they won't listen, as men are continuously saying, we don't like when you surgically alter your bodies or when you get Botox or fillers. First of all, everyone can notice. And it says more about your personality and how you regard yourself, the respect that you have for yourself or the lack thereof.
We also don't know how, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a pleb, newbie, normie. But we don't know how these looks are going to look on women in 20, 30, 40 years when they've aged, right? Like,
Right.
it's going to be a very interesting.
I think that you're going to regret getting a BBL when you're living in a senior care facility.
Yeah.
In 2060. Yes.
And it's
Safe to say
expensive
that.
to get the stuff removed too, right? Like it's
life-threatening to get a BBL in the first place.
Yeah.
It's something crazy like 1 in 1,000. That's a lot that die getting that surgery. And a lot of people go outside of the US and outside of the West in general to get these surgeries to get them cheaper.
Yeah.
Which means they're less regulated and more dangerous. You have to be wheelchair bound after it. The whole process is a humiliation and indignity in and of itself. To what? Look like a porn star?
How do you reconcile that with supporting Dolly Parton dressing the way she does? Or like,
Well, so it's the way that she dresses.
I don't mean dress.
I mean,
like,
I don't.
But the obvious plastic surgery.
The issue is with the Kardashian Jenner clan, they incessantly lie or omit the facts about the ways that they're surgically, cosmetically changing their bodies and faces. And at the very least, you can say about Dolly Parton or Alex Earle, for instance. She's a younger version of it. She's this big influencer for Gen Z. These two women are very open about the fact that they get surgery and they think it's something to brag about. I personally don't, but at the very least, you're not lying to people and, mixing up the truth with lies.
Yeah, at least being honest about it.
The fact that Kylie Jenner, I mean, it's so embarrassing, right? Kylie Jenner lied about getting lip fillers for the longest time. And we're like, you were in the public eye before you had these lip fillers. We can all see it wasn't puberty that made your lips start looking like a baboon anus.
Shadow Williams says, what's a BBL? Do you want to explain what it is?
Yeah, it's called a Brazilian butt lift, BBL for short. Basically, you transfer fat from your stomach and midsection directly into your butt. And it's extremely dangerous. The recovery process is, from what I've heard, extremely painful. And many women have died from it. And yes, you do have to be wheelchair bound after the fact for a long time.
One of the interesting, I think the male equivalent to this now would be in the workout community. The men, they talk about their cycles and they talk about whether they're natural or not. And most men now who use steroids or HGH or TRT, they're honest about it.
Yeah,
So
but the liver kings are like the Kylie Jenners of the men's workout and fitness and nutrition world.
So there's these videos of like these guys, they go into the gym and they ask these dudes who are they're just in phenomenal shape and they're like, are you natural? And they all say no. And there's like, damn.
Yeah, just be honest about it,
He's like, and then they explain like, these are my these are the cycles that I use. This is how I use them as safe as possible. I'm not saying that everyone should do this. I'm saying this is what I'm doing. And the point of the videos is the guy going around talking. He's like, man, I used to be about catching people saying whether I'm natural. I remember they did the same thing when they were talking to Alan Richson when they were doing some of this early promo for Reacher season 2, where they asked him like, are you using any supplements? He's like, oh yeah, TRT. Like, he's,
it's for some reason, it seems like men are more willing to admit when they've done steroids than women are willing to admit that they've gotten Botox, for instance. It's an insecurity thing. I'm sorry, you're not fooling anyone. And lying about getting cosmetic procedures or injections, fillers, Botox, or a BBL, lying about that is unacceptable. It's ethically wrong because you are putting people in danger because they don't believe you when, Mindy Kaling, for instance, says, I lost all that weight because of portion control. I just started eating more broccoli and chicken.
Fried chicken. Not fried chicken.
It was that simple all along, right?
Chicken, yeah.
I wouldn't believe that you were overweight for 10 years if it were that simple and easy all along, Mindy Kaling. We know that you were on Ozempic, and it's not a miracle drug. It's life-threatening because you're taking a medicine for diabetic people when you don't have that condition. And it's going to be proving to have extreme deleterious effects for everyone taking it right now. There are no long-term studies on people taking Ozempic when they are not treating diabetes with
also
it.
for the men that are using steroids, TRT isn't steroids, but like HGH, like the idea is like you still have to do the work. it makes the work, like it helps with the work, but you still have to do the physical work to get to that size.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for the people, and I'm not part of the fitness community, but for like a community of people that promote the idea that you have to do the work yourself outside of the steroid stuff, which I don't know enough about in the culture, but promoting healthy, like putting your body through rigorous physical activity. One of the things that Malcolm Flex always talks about, he's like, you have to train your body to be okay with pain. You have to train your body to accept and even welcome discomfort. I find those to be very positive messages for the community. And even if somebody is, at least if they're honest about what they're using, right? Not a liver king, but somebody who's honest about what they're using. If you're supporting a message that says, look, you need to work hard. You need to learn to push through pain. You cannot accept yourself. That's the bare minimum of who you are. Those are positive messages. I just think that, and to what you were saying about it being a problem, I would agree. Originally, I was going to say, it's not their problem to, I hate the idea that just because you have a platform makes you responsible, right? But I would rather they just didn't answer the question. Like if somebody poses them the question, just say, I'm not going to answer that, rather than outright lying about it. But I don't like the idea of saying that just because somebody has a large platform makes them somehow responsible for other people not doing their research on these things.
But obviously the Kardashians have been asked countless times about the procedures they have or haven't gotten done, and they never tell the truth about it. Yeah. And they'll talk about it as if it's natural. And I don't think that that's acceptable, especially when you know how many millions of women it's influencing. And also in this topic, I just wanted to mention another viral tweet. Has a bunch of examples of female celebrities that have supposedly gotten buccal fat removal. This procedure is the bane of my existence, especially as a female with chubby cheeks. Look, I have a baby face.
It would be horrible if you did this to your face.
If I got buccal fat removal, it would be nightmarish to look at.
It would take away one of the things that makes you just so you. Yeah. Right? It's your cheeks, your face is so very much part of who you are that nobody would want to, like, I shouldn't say nobody, but like, who wants to look at somebody? No, it would be horrible.
It would be frightening to look at me if I got this procedure done. And also having a plump face, I'm sorry, it used to be something aspirational. It used to be part of a beauty standard because it makes you look younger.
I always thought it was like back in the day, it's a flex from rich people because they have money for food.
Well, now look at the examples. So these are women who are trying to look like what gay men want women to look like. This is Bella Hadid after buccal fat removal. I would confidently guess that she got it. The second one is Megan Fox. I disagree with this one. If I had to guess, I don't think that she got buccal fat removal. I think this is contouring and aging because she's very young in the first picture. Anya Taylor-Joy, I bet she definitely got it because this is an extremely intense transformation.
It gives their face such a hollow look.
It looks awful. And I love like Anya Taylor-Joy's unique face. Like she's always had this very unique look.
Somebody says it's called aging, and the next comment says Bella Hadid is literally in her 20s.
Dude, Anya Taylor-Joy is like 21 in the first photo and 26 in the second photo. Explain how that works. No. And Mila Kunis, if I had to guess, that would also look more natural to me.
Contouring?
Yeah, that looks like contouring and aging to me. But in the examples of Bella Hadid, who has gotten extreme plastic surgery alterations on her face to look like Carla Bruni, and Anya Taylor-Joy, who inexplicably in the span of like 5 years just has a completely hollowed out face, there's no other explanation I can think of. And it just looks terrible. And women need to stop aspiring to look like what gay men want them to look like.
And plus, it's way less work. We used to do this with drugs, ladies and gentlemen. You used to have a drug habit to look like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cultural appropriation if you think about it.
It really is.
Okay,
really is.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Nebik said, Brett, I literally cast all my content to the TV, all of it.
Do you do that with Netflix as well?
I guess. Tacti Platty said, how much for Tacti Platty to sponsor PCC?
Is
$2 is enough.
Is Tacti Platty a LLC? Is that a company?
Perturbed Alpaca said, catching up Jersey Mike trying to blackmail PCC with money. Go fluff yourself. Go fluff yourself.
Well, I appreciate that different standards would be true for different people, but that's kind of the point of having a show like this where you're independently created through Timcast, and Tim allows us to make the show what we want it to be, which is why we don't need sponsors, though it would go a long way in the future. We do hope to do that as the show grows and expands, as we look to make it more profitable. So it's something to think about, but I would rather make the content that I want to make than have to worry about whether a sponsor doesn't like when Alex Stein says something naughty on the show.
Not that Jon Stewart said Matt Walsh acted the way Ian Crossland looks. JK, you're not kidding. But it's so true. It's so true, isn't it?
That is true.
I didn't even think about that. I should have thought of that. They should have gotten Ian. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Ian would have done the role just as well.
Then no, what they could have done, is had Ian and Matt in a relationship together.
Oh.
And yeah.
But then who would be
I don't know who she would
Coach Rob's ex-wife?
Maybe at the end of the movie, she goes back to Coach Rob. I thought she was an underrated person in that movie too. I loved that young lady's performance in that movie. I thought she did a fantastic job of being like the kind of neutral party in a world of insanity, where she's fine with what Matt Walsh's character is doing, but she's like, you're taking advantage of it, and she's very much like a voice of reason,
of the normies,
of the normies. But like in the end of the movie, Matt Walsh discovers that he's in love with Ian, and she goes back to Coach Rob, and they just sit there like this, happily ever after.
Yeah. Well, Matt Walsh's character did leave her at the end because she realized that those aren't real women. Culture Casino said Lady Ballers is a nice attempt to make a comedy film. The script needed another pass or two, and moments that needed to linger were cut early. There was also some odd shift in tone at the end.
I liked that. I liked the shift in tone at the end. Like
the scene where Matt Walsh takes off the wig, or
no, oh, he means at the very end. Then
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, like when it gets more serious in the third act and becomes more heartfelt. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
I still don't understand what the scene was with Matt Walsh and Candace Owens.
I don't know if anyone does
in the car, or if that was just a big inside joke that they decided not to explain. Shane H. Wilder said the bad reviews probably never saw it. They wouldn't spend money on a Daily Wire subscription. The timing of Siaka's arrest is sus. Why wait all this time?
Yep.
It is really weird. Yeah. Not that Jon Stewart.
Also, hey, a shout out to Culture Casino. What's up, bud? I don't know if he's still watching, but good to see you.
Not that Jon Stewart saw the shift. It's good.
Okay.
I just was worried because I saw the trailer and I wasn't sure about it, but maybe I'll go see it. Bucky Ducky said, I'd always watch you over Timcast Brett.
Oh. Well,
that's nice.
That's like the sweetest thing anybody's ever said to me.
Say it more. Sir Renko Productions.
Say it to him.
Said, Daily Taylor Swift is the Antichrist. That is all, LOL. Yeah, someone had to say it. Hypothesis said Kronos was Zeus's dad and the Titan of Time. Yeah, I think that Saturn was the Roman mythology. Kronos was the Greek equivalent. Bucky Ducky said, LOL Mary, she can't be a Freemason. Women can't join.
Well, that's one good thing we've got going for us in society these days.
There you go. Someone hasn't gone woke. The Freemason Temple.
I've been watching this video ad, like this Instagram video where it's like, this is the only club of its kind. And it's some like men's only fitness camp in like the jungle.
Okay.
And it's like women aren't allowed. And it's like where men can be men or something like that. And it's just like, this would have existed 40, 50 years ago. Like these things would have been completely normal. Now you got to go to like the jungles of Mongolia to do it. It wasn't Mongolia. I don't remember where it was.
Oh, this is a good sequel idea. Woman who identifies as a man demands to be accepted into the Freemason Temple.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, Sir Renko was right about Swift. The Hollywood connections to the occult are well known. Also, Cosmo admitting abortion is satanic, not shocked.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary's not wrong on the demonic stuff. Rolling 20s. Thank you. Hypothesis said, sex sells. Why do you think Triple H's booking gave WWE all-time low ratings? They buried toxic attraction and forced damage control down our throats.
That's really, really funny because it's like, so Triple H, when he was, I don't know if you're talking about like when, okay, so you're talking his booking, not him the wrestler, but his booking as like a member of creative, right? So toxic attraction, if I remember correctly, that was Mandy Rose's faction, and damage control is the one they ended up going with, but they ended up firing Mandy because she had the OnlyFans or the OnlyFans adjacent profile, but you can't do that when you work for a company that's got a public image for that, you know, WWE is a PG company, can't have people that work for it with OnlyFans pages. Plus, WWE would never let you do that without taking a cut of it back in the day. I never really thought about that. I just always think about Triple H as somebody who's so purely into the wrestling aspect of it that all the sex appeal and stuff seems like it would fall by the wayside for him, which is kind of funny considering one of the things that helped him rise to prominence was his angle where he like gets married to Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of the boss of the company, and then becomes the ultimate bad guy. This is an actual storyline where he drugs, I don't remember if he drugs her, if she's just passed out drunk in Vegas, and he takes her through a Las Vegas wedding chapel and marries her while she's unconscious. And that was an actual storyline that they did.
Wait, what?
Back in the early 2000s.
What?
So Stephanie McMahon was going to marry Test. He was another wrestler.
It's giving Elvis and Priscilla.
Oh yeah. So basically when they're at their wedding, like where they're about to get married on TV, Test and Stephanie, Triple H plays the video where he goes through a chapel drive-through with Stephanie McMahon and gets married to her, and they find out that she can't marry Test, but then she becomes a bad guy and ends up staying married to him and being on his side. Ultimate heel turn.
Wow.
Wrestling ruled back then.
Ryan Landry said the Iron Claw looks really good. Review?
I do want to see the Iron Claw. I do. I think that one, I might go see that one. I think that comes out closer to Christmas.
What is that about again?
That's the one about the Von Erichs, the wrestling one from A24.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to see that one.
Bucky Ducky said Ozempic is a brand name. Semaglutide is the actual drug. It pretends to be GLP-1, a hormone released from eating and slows your digestion. Mary, please do a bit more research on it before your next rant. Bro, I think you're on Ozempic. Are you shilling for Ozempic now?
Here's the article. Diabetes drug Ozempic burns Texas professor's genitals. We're just saying that it's a big deal in Hollywood right now.
And from many people's
off-label use is probably not the smartest idea.
Many people's personal testimony of using it for weight loss is that it made them violently ill.
Like we're not saying that you shouldn't use it if you actually have diabetes and you actually need it, but it's being used off-label by most of Hollywood for weight loss, not for diabetes.
Funny, when you do that, it's bad for you. Has bad effects on your health. Sir Renko Productions said Anya Taylor-Joy, more like Anya Taylor sad.
She did look sad in that photo. She looks stern.
Yeah, she always does. It must be hard to smile when there's no flesh in your face. You know?
You become the Ron DeSantis and...
She's going to have like permanently exposed teeth or something.
Yeah.
Bucky Ducky said, I have too much respect for Tim to... You say it to him. Oh, we're supposed to say it to him.
Okay, I'll say it to him sometime.
Tacti Platty said, so happy Route 340 reopened. My commute is normal. Yeah, that's been a relief. I survived it.
Did you get the sticker?
No.
You got to get the sticker.
I don't know where to get the sticker. Could you read the next one? It's not popping up for me.
This is from Shane H. Wilder. He says, why have a Jimmy John sponsorship when Mary has a Taco Bell ad that dropped this morning? We must live Moss. LOL.
If you're not living Moss, what are you even doing?
What are you even doing? If you're not in Mexico, where are you even at? Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's this video where these two women they're on like a balcony. It's like, if you're not in Mexico, where are you even at? And then it gets like remixed with a bunch of guys wearing hard hats. So like, I'm at work. I got a job. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, and would you subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already? Share these videos with your friends. We want to get more people in here joining us for all the fun, so please go ahead and do that. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X, Twitter, Twix. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. And guys, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. I will be live again tonight, 9 to 10:30 with Colonel Kurtz. We are going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff related to Hollywood and all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun, so you should come and hang out with us. I will post a link to it on my profile, either on Twix or on Instagram before the show, because I think it might be going up on a different channel this time. But just look out for that if you follow me on social media. Go ahead and do that. Remember, this show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you'd like to listen rather than watch. And we should be a normal schedule this week, all 5 days. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, there's one more there. Can you?
I can't read
can't
it.
read that one? All right, I got it here. It says from Bucky Ducky. He says, "No, where did it go? Hold, please." Says Ozempic is a brand name. I don't.
That was the one from before.
Yeah, is the and he says
Brett, that was.
This is different.
No,
that
was the one I read before. This is the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't.
Says I'm not he says I'm not on Ozempic, but it's more nuanced than drug bad. And sure, I agree. Don't take Ozempic, which is for diabetes if you don't got it. Yes. Well, that's what we're saying, right? We're not doctors. We're saying that it seems like a lot of the celebrities who are using it off label aren't using it well. So, all right, guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Later. Post-credit scene, ladies and gentlemen. I have finished the poll here. It says 66% of you say that you haven't watched Lady Ballers. 30% say yes, you watched it and you loved it. 3% say yes, you saw it and you hated it. I also want to say, guys, that our video with all of the interviews and our experience at the Lady Ballers premiere from the Daily Wire will be live tonight on this channel at 8 p.m. You should go ahead and check it out there. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Later.